Welcome to Fox 5 News Live, guys. I'm Jasmine Cornell. Your time is 9:03. We have many stories to get to. One big one we're following this morning here in Georgia and across the nation, the No Kings protests. Thousands of people are expected to gather right here in the metro Atlanta area for these protests. And our Kim Leffler is out in the state capitol. Kim, you've been covering these protests for
Yeah, absolutely, Jasmine. Good morning to you. We are here outside of the state capitol where organizers, including members of the ACLU, are getting ready to hold a press conference or just getting all the technical elements worked out at this point. But that No Kings March is going to begin this morning at 10 a.m. over at the Memorial Drive Greenway, which is a little over a half mile or so from the state capitol. We're told they're going to have a rally there, and then the marchers will make their way here to the state capitol, circle the state capitol, and then head back to the Greenway. This is the third time No Kings protest has happened here in Georgia and also throughout the country since President Donald Trump took office. The first one was in June, and then the second one was in October. For the one in October, we know over 10,000 people came out to be a part of that. But again, the one today is starting at 10 o'clock. We're going to have a press conference starting here very, very shortly, and we'll bring that to you live as soon as it happens.
Well, better for you to check it. Kim, thank you for that update. I do want you to talk about a little bit of the history as we wait for this press conference to happen. What have you seen at these protests? I know that police officers are ramping up security measures there.
Yeah, absolutely. We know Atlanta police. We've seen several members of the Georgia State Patrol in this area as well. They're going to have extra patrol on hand for this protest. When I was out here in June up in DeKalb County, there was another protest going on. It was not one of the organized No Kings protests, but that event on the same day as No Kings protest in DeKalb County, that did get violent, and police used tear gas, and there were several arrests made for that event. The one in October was very peaceful. A lot of people out here, but everyone did remain peaceful for that one as well. Certainly the police, erring on the side of caution, wanting to make sure everyone can exercise their right to protest and to free speech, and also making sure that everyone is staying safe along the way as well. So again, expecting a very large crowd for this protest today, starting about a half a mile from where we are right now, and we will of course bring it to you live as it develops this morning. Absolutely. So they are just speaking out against President Donald Trump and his administration. The rally is called No Kings, saying that, here in America, we don't have any kings. So that is kind of the general, basis of the protest as well. And a lot of people come out here for a variety of different reasons, variety of issues that they, want to speak up about. We've heard a lot on immigration, a lot on health care as well. So, a lot of people have their own, personal motivators for coming out and speaking out. But we've also seen a lot of people in October that came out in June, and they wanted to make sure to continue to speak up. So we do expect to see that as well today. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who were at both the protests in June and October. They're going to be coming out again later this morning.
Kim, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and we'll check back in with you as soon as that press conference happens. Reporting from the state capitol there. I want to go ahead and bring in our Caitlin Pratt. She has been here since these No Kings protests have been happening as well. Hey there, Caitlin. Good morning. And so she will also talk about some of the history behind these protests.
Well, as Kim mentioned, immigration, a big topic, why people are gathering. Also, most recently, the war in Iran. That's going to be driving people to the streets as well. Now, the main organizers, you were asking Kim about, why are people coming out? Why are people coming together? On their website, they're promoting the No Kings Day actions as one of the largest single-day nonviolent protests in U.S. history. They're saying, quote, when our families are under attack and costs are pushing people to the brink, Silence is not an option. This is on their website. We will defend ourselves and our communities against this administration's unjust and cruel acts of violence. America, they go on to say, does not belong to strong men, greedy billionaires, or those who rule through fear. It belongs to us, the people. So what is this going to look like? You're looking at those past two events, one of them outside the state capitol there, and all of them peaceful. Police, of course, as Kim mentioned, will be there just to make sure it remains that way, just in case. But these events vary by city. Each event is going to look a little different depending on who's organizing it. Some may simply be flag waving rallies, maybe others marches, full-on sign waving protests. And I checked, and as of earlier this week, 57 in all confirmed in our state of Georgia. Of course, we have reporters here in the metro area, but this is going to be happening throughout our state, throughout the nation as well. About 3,000 of them, in fact, planned for today alone. So let's transition into the president's approval ratings. Of course, this is all centered on public sentiment about our president. Donald Trump approval ratings, we got a snapshot of that. According to our state here in Georgia, a civic state-by-state approval rating shows as of this week, 41% of Georgians are in favor of President Donald Trump, 56% are against, 3% are unsure. So this is in the state of Georgia. National approval ratings, let's take a glimpse at that. Fox News poll, they say that President Trump stands at 57% and 43% as of March 2nd. I'm going to stop there. It sounds like we're about to listen in, right, Jasmine, to the
Yes.
press conference?
Yes, Caitlin. So, guys, this press conference just started. We're going to go ahead and take that live so we can all hear what's being said.
Don't do kings in this country. Power belongs to the people. Indivisible groups across Georgia have been organizing for years to make sure our communities are informed, engaged, and ready to take action. And through Indivisible National, we are part of a broader movement that connects local organizing to coordinated nationwide action. The No Kings mobilization is one of those moments. It brings together people across the country who are standing up for the same basic idea, that in a democracy, no one is above the law. What we're seeing right now is a pattern of attacks on our rights, our freedoms, and our democratic institutions, and people are paying attention. They are choosing to show up instead of staying silent. Here in Georgia, we know what it means to fight for our rights. From the ballot box to the streets, our communities have always stepped up in critical moments. This is one of those moments. Today's protest in Atlanta will be a peaceful, community-led action that includes a march and a rally. It is designed to be like our past events, accessible, organized, and rooted in nonviolence. People can expect a strong, visible show of our community, with folks from across the state coming together and share values of freedom, fairness, and accountability. This is not about any one person, it's about a bigger people. We believe in a country where leaders are held accountable, where our rights are protected, and where power stays where it belongs, with the people. And that's why we're showing up today. We invite everyone who believes in those values to join us. Show up, bring your community, be part of something bigger, because this is how we protect our democracy. No kings, not here, not now, not ever. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Christopher Bruce. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of the ACLU of Georgia, an organization wholeheartedly devoted to protecting your civil rights and civil liberties. Let me be clear from the offset. We do not have kings in this country. We have a Constitution. And today, we are here because the Constitution and all of the rights that's guaranteed under it are under threat. An abuse of power, an erosion of our democratic norms, and direct attacks on the rights of everyday people. That include attacks on the right to vote, efforts to rewrite the truth of the 2020 election, and the policies that undermine the very foundation of our democracy. That should be a concern to every American, regardless of political party. Because this is not about partisanship. This is about power. This is about accountability. We are also seeing the human cost of this administration. Families separated, communities living in fear, journalists being detained, and immigration enforcement that mirrors abuses of people across this country, and that's why we're out here today protesting. Let me say this plainly. We marched to stop the brutalization of communities by police, and we will not accept the same brutality under a different name. From Social Circle to Hall County to seeing detention centers and practices popping up over Georgia that are not wanted or needed. People are not packages, and this country is not a kingdom. At the very same time, we are calling on leaders at every level of government, local, state, and federal, to do your job. Members of Congress must exercise your constitutional authority on other branches. They must protect programs like Medicaid that millions rely on, and they must defend the constitutional balance of power, including their own authority. Silence is not neutrality. Silence is complicity. And let me be equally clear about why we are here today. People across the country have a fundamental First Amendment right to petition their government. That right is not optional. It is not conditional. It is fundamental. The No Kings movement is about reminding this nation that power belongs to the people, not only the office holders. And in moments like this, when our democracy is not self-executing, we need people to stand up. It requires participation. So we are calling on people to stay engaged, show up, speak out, make sure you vote in every election, and support organizations that are doing the work every single day to protect your civil rights and civil liberties. Because this movement is not theoretical. It's urgent. It's needed. So I will close where I began. We do not have kings in this country. We have laws. We have rights. And we have a constitution. Let's uphold it. Thank you. With that, I'll take any questions. Yes, so today we are going to start with a rally at Memorial Green. Then we'll have a march around our state capitol and end at Memorial Green again. As far as how many people, I think about 20.
We're expecting 30,000.
We're expecting around 30,000 people, which is pretty much the same as what we had last time, right? Close to about that, yes. Well, democracy is a participatory sport, so you can't just do one march and not having follow-up. This is a reminder to people that our Constitution and our democracy is under threat. This is a time for them to stand up. And this is a pivotal time, too. Elections are coming up. You're going to have judges on the ballot, including our Supreme Court, as well as other people who are running for office. Let's make sure that people are reminded this is their time to vote. I was about to say, I'm not doing it. Here, go on. Yes. Go ahead. I got you. You want to take that?
I think you should take that one.
Repeat that question.
Funding.
There you go.
Thank you. All right. That there is the Indivisible Georgia Coalition and ACLU of
You're just
Georgia
talking about,
outlining plans
spreading
ahead of the
propaganda.
protests. Again, they are taking questions from reporters, from the audience members right now. And I wanted to listen into some of those questions and answers, but I believe this is wrapping up here soon. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of background about these organizations. So again, the Indivisible Georgia Coalition and ACLU of Georgia are outlining the stakes, turnout, and call to action ahead of the protests nationwide. These No King protests are happening nationwide, so not just here in Georgia and in the Atlanta area. So today, leaders from these organizations are holding this press conference ahead of the protests, and they're addressing the growing concerns around the attacks on civil liberties, they say, and democratic institutions. They also outline what Georgians can expect to see as these protests happen right here across the state. Again, that's Indivisible Georgia Coalition and ACLU of Georgia. Laura Judge there spoke with the Indivisible Georgia Coalition, and Chris Bruce with ACLU of Georgia, both civil rights organizations, again, working to rally for democracy here in the state of Georgia. This video that you're looking at is older video of No King's protest, but like the organizers say, we expect this protest to be peaceful today, and the one you see on your screen that happened in the past is also peaceful. We're going to continue to follow the story. We have reporters covering these protests in several areas across Georgia, including right here at the state capitol. We're going to check back in a little later with Kim Leffler and another reporter, Ray Urena, who's out there at the state capitol with this, covering these protests. And we're going to also talk about some of the ones happening nationwide. For now, your time is 9:20. I want to take a quick pause here, and when we come back, we'll take a look at your weekend forecast. Good morning, guys. Welcome to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell here with Paul Milliken and Yes, he's covering our forecast. Paul, it's so great to see you
It's
on
good to
this
see you, too.
Saturday.
Yeah. Okay, and so I've got good news and bad news.
Okay.
What do you want first, Jasmine? The good or
Okay.
the bad?
Man, I want to say good, but
know,
no,
right?
just do bad first.
Pollen count.
Oh,
Ridiculous
my gosh.
again today. I mean, ridiculous. So we've had 6 straight days of extremely high pollen count. Today's number 7 in a row.
Oh.
Sorry to tell you, folks. We'll get to it in a minute. I mean, my allergies are bad.
So
dude,
I'm
bad.
still trying to figure out my allergies with pollen. I don't quite know.
Look, the longer it takes you to figure out, the better, because that means it's not terrible, right? So
Yes.
mine have been bad. I know so many of yours have too, and unfortunately, no relief in sight because we're not getting rain until later in the part of next week. So
Wow.
let's get to it right now. I want to start off with some important news, though, and that would be our red flag warning in effect. So a red flag warning means critical fire danger, okay? And that means we have really low humidity, so it's very dry outside. We have high winds today. And so basically what the authorities are concerned about is that a fire will start very quickly and then it will continue to spread because the winds will push it. So what you need to know today from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., the red flag warning is in effect. And so I want you to be really careful with any outdoor activities that could spark a fire, because if a fire is sparked, it'll spread really quickly because you've got the winds and the low humidity. So that red flag warning will be in effect today. And let's keep moving through because I'll go through the different elements of why that red flag warning is in effect. First, though, let's go to the good news. Okay, let's talk about something good.
sounds
And that
good.
would be our forecast for the afternoon. It's going to be beautiful outside. Plenty of sunshine today. Skies will be nice and clear. And highs today in the upper 60s. That's a big change from yesterday. As you know, we topped out in the 80s yesterday. It was very warm out there at Truist Park for the Braves home opener. Today's going to be a little cooler. That said, 68 degrees is what I'm forecasting for a high. 69 is your average high this time of year. So really, we're right where we're supposed to be. It just feels a lot cooler because it was so warm yesterday. But as you walk out the door right now, it's going to be a little chill in the air, but it will be really comfortable as we move into the afternoon. So right now it's 50 here in Atlanta. We're at 55 in Covington, 46 up in Canton, 41 in Dalton, 42 in Rome, and 43 in Carrollton. And notice that sort of divide in color there. So you've got that dark blue back towards the north and west, and then it gets progressively lighter green. So what's happening is a cold front is crossing the region today. Typically, when we talk about frontal passages, we're talking about rain and storms. That's not one of those. All right. So this one is a dry frontal passage, but it is giving us a change in our temperature. That's why it was very warm yesterday, and it won't be nearly as warm today. Meanwhile, again, dew points are super low right now. So the dew point is a measure of the moisture that the air can hold. These are low numbers. That means it is really dry. And that goes back to that red flag warning, right? So because it's so dry out there, very easy for a fire to start. And once it starts, here's what could spread it. So these are your current sustained winds right here. Sustained winds at 14 miles per hour here in Atlanta, 16 in Carrollton, 15 in Rome. And so these winds, again, these are sustained. You got to factor in the gusts then, gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour. That's what could spread a fire very quickly. So again, all of these elements add up together and they lead to a red flag warning today. As I said before, be very careful with any outdoor activities that could spark a fire. And if by any chance you're out and about and you smell smoke, call authorities. Just let them know, because chances are there could be a fire out there that needs to be addressed. All right, now we get to the really bad news. Guys, look at this pollen count. It's brutal out there. Over 4,000 today. That is extremely high. That is higher than it was yesterday. I think that's the second highest number of the past 7 days. So it is extremely high again. The major pollens today going to be those tree pollens again: pine, oak, mulberry, birch, and sycamore. So take your allergy medication this morning. I've been feeling it. And I know what you're thinking too, right? Like, where's the rain? It's the rain that will help. It'll wash some of that pollen out of the air. Well, we've got several days before rain enters the forecast. So again, here's your weekend forecast: 68 today, 69 tomorrow. Plenty of sunshine both days. So very pleasant, very pretty outside. Back to the 70s for your Monday, and then back to the 80s on Tuesday. So we're going to start April off on a very warm note in the 80s. It's going to get a little bit unsettled too. So a chance for storms moves in Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We'll say about a 50% chance for showers and storms. I don't think that's going to be severe weather, so don't worry about that. But what we want is to squeeze out some rain to wash away that pollen. I mean, even if the allergies, right, even if they're not not affecting you, the allergies, like your car is yellow, your deck is yellow. It's just gross.
It is so
right.
gross. I agree with you there. Okay, and no April Fool's jokes here. I'm a huge warm weather girl. I love the 80 to 20 degrees.
That looks pretty good, right?
That looks great.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna expect to see that on April 1st.
Keep it that way, all right?
All right,
no
that
joke.
sounds good. Thank you so much, Paul, for coming in to talk about weather today.
You got it.
All right, guys, we're going to move forward and continue to talk about the No Kings protest happening nationwide. Let's go ahead and bring up some video. This here hopefully should be Los Angeles and what's happening there. Again, we don't have that video right now for Los Angeles. That's okay. Hopefully we can get it later. But I do know that some freeway gates were installed in that area. Let me throw up a banner so you're not just looking at me and you're also looking at some words that's describing what I'm talking about here. So there we go. So back to the Los Angeles area, iron gates were installed along a California freeway to keep protesters off the highway. This is ahead of the No Kings protests there in Los Angeles. This comes ahead of those protests again. Officials there are expecting them this weekend. And so crews with a group there named Caltrans were installing the gates along the on and off ramps for Highway 101 in downtown Los Angeles Thursday. And then also a spokesperson for that group says the gates are a, quote, proactive safety measure and were requested by California Highway Patrol after protesters walked along the freeway during past protests. So that's what's happening in California. We know in Utah, people there are getting ready as well. Thousands of Utah residents preparing for the No Kings protests happening today in that area. In Utah, 18 protests are reportedly scheduled throughout the day today. And what organizers say is a way to voice opposition to the actions of the current administration. And again, as you know, Utah's events are among over 3,100 protests that have been organized across the country, even here in the Atlanta area. So I do want to share more about this, but it is 9:30 and we do have to get to our Eli Jordan, who is out at a protest in the Atlanta area. So we'll talk a little bit more about the nationwide protests in Los Angeles and Utah, and any additional information I can get on these protests, I'll bring them to you. But first, let's take a quick break, and when we return, we'll talk to our Eli Jordan, who is out at a protest getting ready to happen in Griffin. Welcome back, guys. We are going to continue to talk about the No Kings protests happening across the nation and right here in Georgia. We did talk about, or did show you, the press conference that happened in Metro Atlanta a little bit earlier, and I will replay that for you a little bit later this morning. But first, let's get to our Eli Jordan. He is out in Griffin, Georgia, and protesters there are already lining up. As you can see, there are signs. Hey there, Eli. I can't quite hear you, but I see that you're here at the protest that's getting ready to happen out in Griffin. And so guys, we can't hear Eli at the moment, so hopefully we'll get back to him, because we do want to show you this protest out in Griffin, Georgia. But first, let's talk about some local headlines as we wait for Eli to, as we get ready to hear Eli as he fixes that audio issue there. So first, let's talk about Fulton County. They fought the FBI in court to recover some election ballots, 2020 ballots. And so let's get into the story. A federal judge in downtown Atlanta heard arguments yesterday as Fulton County officials fought to recover more than 600 boxes of 2020 election ballots seized by the FBI earlier this year. Now, if you've been following Fox 5 Atlanta, you know about this story. You probably know a little more than I do, just because this has been in our headlines well before I started with Fox 5. But here's what I know. Fulton County and the U.S. government met in a federal courtroom on Friday afternoon to debate the legality of a January FBI search. Attorneys representing the county alleged that investigators relied on an affidavit, quote, full of lies, to seize original 2020 election documents. Now, during this hearing at the Richard Russell Federal Building, the county called on election security expert Ryan Macias, who testified that there was no intentional misconduct during the 2020 election. The federal government maintained that there is no evidence agents misled the magistrate judge who secured the warrant. Here's what we don't know. Now, the judge did not issue an immediate ruling on the county's motion to have the ballots returned. It is also unclear when the judge will rule on a separate motion for emergency relief filed by the NAACP or the government's request to dismiss the case. The federal government has argued that the county has failed to support its claims of misconduct by investigators. Federal attorneys stated the county's evidence was, quote, woefully inadequate to prove that Special Agent Hugh Raymond Evans or the other officials misled the court to obtain the January search warrant. Fulton County Commissioner Chair Rob Pitts called the hearing a great day, despite the government's attempts to block it. What's next here? Now, the parties are awaiting a formal ruling from the judge on the county's request to return the ballots. Additionally, the judge is reviewing a motion from the NAACP for emergency relief and the federal government's motion to dismiss the case. Now, guys, I do want to go ahead and get back to Eli Jordan. I believe that we have his audio working, so we're good there. So let's go back to what we were talking about before. Hey there, Eli, you're at the No Kings protest.
Hey, you got me.
Yes, I can hear you. So tell us what's happening right now. What's happening on the ground?
Hey, just not too long ago, I just showed up right when maybe about a handful of people showed up here in Griffin on East Taylor Street, and then all of a sudden, a whole bunch of people showed up out here. And let me give you kind of a front look here at it. Here's the people out here on Taylor Street. Give you a little wider angle. There we go. And then joining me right now, though, is the co-founder of Southern Crescent Indivisible, Michael Shane. Hey, Michael, how you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Beautiful day.
Yes, it is. And tell me, what is your message you're hoping to get out here in Griffin today?
Well, we're one of 56 groups that are doing this today in Georgia. We're part of a national organization, Indivisible, that really has some difficulty and problems with the current administration. There are things that need to be changed, and we're here to let people know that we have a voice. We're together. This is going to be the largest protest in the history of the country, and we're proud to be part of it.
So what are some of your grievances with the administration?
Well, it's interesting. We have some signs that we make, and people bring their own. And when we put them out there, it's hard to choose, whether it's the war in Iran, whether it's CDC funding, whether it's dealing with those issues that all kind of umbrella under a dictator. And we want to make sure that people know that democracy matters. We stand for democracy, and we want to have our voice.
And how encouraging is it to see this many people show up here in Griffin?
Well, we expected that. You got an animal behind you. We expected it. We have people here in Mcdonough.
And we got the sights and sounds here to get attention too.
And then later this afternoon we'll be in Fayetteville. Last year we had over 1,600 in Fayetteville, so it kind of grows as we go through the day. So we expect to probably land up about 300 here today in Griffin. And it's a great county, Spalding. There's a lot of support for the way the government should be run.
So yeah, I was going to ask you that. Some people might just automatically think, the stereotypical small town in the southern states, all that. You might not be too welcome here. The message might not be get through. But what kind of reaction have you gotten from locals around here?
We've gotten very positive reaction. You can hear the horns as they pass by. A lot of thumbs up. We get some negative responses. I don't want to tell you it doesn't happen. And sometimes we get the one finger salute. But what we find, particularly in the smaller counties in the South, is that people appreciate the fact that we're here. They don't expect us to be here in some of the southern counties in Butts and Pike and Upston because they're very red communities and very red counties. But there are people who drive by and say, thank you. We appreciate you being here. There are people who support your issue in these counties.
And also, too, nonetheless, whether you agree with the message or not, you're exercising your constitutional right to protest here in America.
Absolutely,
nonetheless.
Absolutely.
So it's a healthy stimulation of exercising the rights and using that too, I guess I would say.
Yes, it is, and it's our First Amendment, right? And we take advantage of it. You can see we're in the right of way, but we want to make sure that first and utmost we're peaceful. You can see we have safety manners to make sure that holds true, and that we want our voices to be heard, but we want to do so in a peaceful and a giving way.
And tell me about that a little bit. If somebody's watching this and they decide they want to come out, what are some of the do's and don'ts, would you say, for to join the protest?
Yeah, the protesters themselves, the don'ts are don't interact. You're not going to change somebody's mind driving by in a car in 2 seconds, and people will yell out things that are inappropriate and sometimes nasty. And our response is you wave, you smile, and they're gone. The worst thing to do is to try to interact and make a comment with them. Our first issue with safety managers is just that, safety. You can see we've got managers walking the street to make people don't go out in the curb, they stay out of traffic, and so that we keep control of the crowd to make sure that it's safe. We have first aid people here. We have people that are going through introducing themselves and taking pictures with their cameras so they can have some history of this. So it's basically just remembering that we are a peaceful protest.
Awesome. Well, Michael Shane, thank you very much. The Southern Crescent Indivisible here, co-founder, covers the South Metro for the Indivisible groups and the No Kings protest. And they're out here at Griffin, and then they said they're going to be moving up to Mcdonough later on, and that's where I'll be following them up there. And they also have a little bit of a protest in Fayette later on this evening, but they're going. Michael, you said, 56 counties?
There are
56 protests, right?
56 protests in Georgia. There's
56.
over 3,100 in the country. Today will be the largest gathering of people to protest an issue in the history of the country.
History being made out here. Griffin's going to be part of it. 56 protests in the state, and just huge protests all across the country today. Jasmine, back to you.
That's right, Eli. Pretty huge here. You're out in Griffin. Thank you so much for covering the protests out in Griffin. We'll check back in with you a little bit later. Guys, like Eli said, this is a huge protest here, huge movement across the nation, and we're going to continue to follow it, especially right here in Georgia. Now, somebody on TikTok did ask a question. They said, who is funding the No Kings protest? And after doing a little bit of research, we found that funding comes from a mix of progressive foundations, unions, and grassroots donations. According to Fox News, the Open Society Foundations, founded by billionaire investor and Democratic Party donor George Soros, has provided funding to support the No Kings protest. And so there you have it. That's what we found. We do know that Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is expected to attend at least one of these protests across the nation, but that is who reportedly is funding the No Kings protest. Your time is 9:43. When we return, we'll take a quick break from the No Kings protest and talk about something very important, colon cancer awareness. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. Time is 9:45. Let's go ahead and talk about something very important, colon cancer awareness. So March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month, and it's a time to focus on prevention and early detection. Experts say early screening can save lives, especially in the younger population, because we are seeing a rise in cases in the younger population. So let's go ahead and bring in Michael Sapienza. He is with Colorectal Cancer Alliance. He's the CEO. Michael, thank you so much for joining us to talk about this important health concern.
Thank you.
So, Michael, first, talk about colon cancer and why awareness is so important. I know that's a basic question, but I think people should know why it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, colorectal cancer is the #2 cancer-related deaths here in the United States for both men and women combined. And, I always say this, unfortunately, my mom died of the disease at age 59, was diagnosed at 56, and it was because she did not get screened. So if you are 45 years or older and are at average risk, meaning you do not have a family history of the disease, you need to be screened at 45. And there are multiple options for screening, whether that is the tried and true colonoscopy, but there are also, for people that are average risk, there are really easy at-home tests. So one called Cologuard, which can be done at the comfort of your own home, is effective. If it's positive, obviously you have to get a colonoscopy. If you have a family history, you need to start with a colonoscopy and make sure you're getting screened 10 years prior to your first-degree relative having the disease. So if my mom was diagnosed at 40, I would have to start getting screened at 30. And if you have any questions about that, getscreened.org is a good website to go to at the Colorectal Cancer Alliance to learn more.
For giving us that information and talking about Cologuard, which some people don't know much about it. So I do want to ask you a few more questions on that. But first, let's talk about who's the most at risk and what's behind the rise in cases in younger adults.
Yeah, unfortunately now colorectal cancer under 50 is the #1 cancer killer for both men and women. And we don't know why. We don't know if it's because people are drinking more sugary based drinks instead of vitamin C and D based drinks like milk, like we did 40 years ago. Is it because taking too many antibiotics or using too much hand sanitizer or shampoo? We don't really know what is causing it. And so what I say for young onset patients, the most important thing is to understand the potential symptoms. So if you have blood in your stool, change in bowel habits, unexpected weight loss, cramping or night sweats, and those things last more than 2 or 3 weeks, you need to see your primary care physician, OBGYN, or a GI doc. And if you don't have any of those, it is okay to go to the emergency room. It doesn't mean you have colon cancer, but you have to demand answers, meaning a colonoscopy, because that is going to be the thing that saves your life. Because unfortunately, 3 out of 4 people that are diagnosed under 50 are diagnosed late stage because their symptoms are dismissed at their doctor. So it's so important that people, doctors, etc., understand that those are the symptoms and you need to demand a colonoscopy at that time. Other people that are at high risk are, those that have a family history and those that may have history of polyps in their family or Crohn's and colitis. Those people need to make sure that they are proactive about getting screened. But the most important thing I can say is that everybody is at risk, really, and that is why screening is paramount at the age of 45.
Michael, thank you so much. Screening, very important. What lifestyle changes can be made to, reduce the risk of colon cancer?
Yeah, that's a great question. A diet high in fiber is always very good, fruits and vegetables. A diet low in red meat and processed meats especially are proven. Alcohol and smoking, no smoking obviously, but moderate alcohol. The tried and true exercising can help reduce your risk. But really the biggest thing is that diet and screening. So the diet being the low processed meats and red meats, high fiber, fruits and vegetables. And then, of course, again, that's screening.
And let's go back and talk about Colon Guard a little bit more. So what is it and how is that being used to detect colon cancer?
Yeah, so Cologuard is a test that is made by a company called Exact Sciences. They were actually just bought by Abbott, and it is an at-home test where you, in the comfort of your own home, can have a bowel movement into this little thing that they send you. You put something in it, you close it up. They have a pre-addressed FedEx or UPS or whatnot envelope. You send it back in. And there you go. They'll come back with a result very quickly. They have navigators that actually call you and text you and follow up and make sure that, you do the test, and that if it is positive, and this is the most important thing, that if it is positive, you have to get a colonoscopy. It doesn't mean you have colon cancer. It just means that you do need to make sure you do that follow-up colonoscopy to make sure that they take care of any polyps that are there. It's easier, right? If you are in the prime of your life and you're like, I know I need to do this, but I don't have the time to take a day off of work or do the prep, etc., and you are at average risk, then Cologuard is a very, very good option.
So much for explaining Cologuard. Michael, some people are a little bit nervous, especially younger people, about getting colonoscopy. So what kind of advice do you have for those people out there?
Yeah, so unfortunately, this is part of the problem. Like screening colonoscopy is not really available for people under the age of 45 unless you have a family history, and that is why you have to pay attention to your body around those symptoms: the blood in your stool, the change in bowel habits, unexpected weight loss, cramping or night sweats. Those things are potential indicators, and that is what needs to trigger every young person in this country to make sure that they go to their doctor and then demand a colonoscopy. Because if you do have those symptoms, it's what's called a diagnostic colonoscopy, and that is where hopefully they can catch it early and make sure that it is completely curable and treatable.
Michael, thank you so much for joining us to talk about this very important topic here, colon cancer awareness. Any final thoughts that you have for viewers this morning?
No, but thank you so much. And again, colorectalcancer.org is our website, or getscreened.org if you want to learn more.
Thank you, Michael, for joining us. You have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
Guys, again, a very important topic here, Colon Cancer Awareness Month, highlighting the importance of early screening. Cases are rising in younger adults, so it's so important to pay attention to your health and advocate for your health to doctors. Your time is 9:53. When we return, we'll have a few headlines. Welcome back, guys. Let's talk about TSA agents who are now expected to get paid. So Trump has signed an order to pay TSA employees, and this is some good news, even though the DHS shutdown continues. President Trump signed an executive order on Friday, that was yesterday, authorizing payments to TSA agents. We know that they have been working without pay, and here we've been covering TSA agents and speaking with them as well, who have expressed concerns and voiced frustration over working without being paid. The order that President Trump signed comes after the House rejected a Senate Department of Homeland Security funding deal. And so that order, though, to pay TSA agents did pass early yesterday. Now, Trump says he signed the action as security lines at many airports continue to have long delays, with wait times at some hubs reaching more than 3 hours. We did see some things improve here in the Atlanta area. We described it as like a box of chocolates, because you don't know what you're going to get as far as when it comes to the long wait times at the Atlanta airport, but some airports across the U.S. are still experiencing those long wait times. Trump says he signed the action as security lines, again, at many airports continue to have long delays. Now, the order said more than 60,000 TSA employees have not been paid since the shutdown began, and nearly 500 have quit. The president says he would use funds that, quote, have a reasonable and logical nexus to TSA operations for the payments. The House rejected the Senate bill yesterday, saying it did not include funding for ICE and only partial funds for Customs and Border Protection. Instead, the House passed the bill to fund the entire department through May 22nd, but it is not likely to pass in the Senate. President Trump says TSA agents can expect to see their paychecks, though, as early as Monday. So that's some good information there. Again, TSA agents now expected to be paid. They've been working, some of them, for several weeks without being paid. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to work without being paid either. So, again, Trump has signed this order, and TSA employees are expected to get those paychecks starting on Monday. Now, the DHS shutdown, that continues to drag on, but we'll continue to follow that and cover it and bring you the latest on the shutdown. Your time is 9:58. When we return, we're going to check in with the No Kings protest, check in with some of our reporters who are covering that, and we'll have the latest here on Fox 5 News Live. All right, guys, let's go ahead and talk about the No Kings protests happening here in the Atlanta area. We do know that protests are underway across the nation. But let's first talk about what's happening here in Atlanta at the state capitol. Our Kim Leffler is there. And Kim, you have been covering these protests since they've been happening. Talk about what you're seeing right now.
Yeah, this is the third No Kings protest that has happened since President Trump has taken office. We're just kind of on the other side from the state capitol, on the other side of the interstate. You can see everyone kind of gathering here right now. They're having a rally at this point at 10 o'clock. And then all of these attendees are going to make their way towards the state capitol, kind of circle the state capitol, and then I'm told come back this way as well. We're told that they're expecting anywhere from around 30,000 people or so to come out for this event. Many of these folks were participating in one of the first two events as well. But we did just hear from some of the organizers of this event about why it was important for them to do this. And I asked them why it was important for them to continue to have these, these rallies every few months. Take a listen to some of what they told us in a press conference moments ago.
What we're seeing right now is a pattern of attacks on our rights, our freedoms, and our democratic institutions. And people are paying attention. They are choosing to show up instead of staying silent. Here in Georgia, we know what it means to fight for our rights. From the ballot box to the streets, our communities have always stepped up in critical moments. This is one of those moments.
You can't just do one march and not having follow-up. This is a reminder to people that our Constitution and our democracy is under threat. This is a time for them to stand up. And this is a pivotal time, too. Elections are coming up. You're going to have judges on the ballot, including our Supreme Court, as well as other people who are running for office. Let's make sure that people are reminded this is their time to vote.
Reasons for wanting to be out here, this No Kings protest, the main message behind it is that there are no kings in this country, and people care about a variety of issues from immigration to healthcare. But again, the march here is going to be happening shortly, heading up to the state capitol and then coming back this way. And of course, we're going to hear more from some of the attendees with my colleague Ray Urena, who is out here currently, and we will both keep you updated as this protest here continues. Jasmine.
All right, Kim, thank you so much for bringing us an update on the situation here out near the state capitol. Anything different that you're noticing this year from the last protest that was held in June?
Right now the crowds do look slightly smaller than what I saw back in June and also October as well. Again, this just got started at 10 o'clock, so likely people are still making their way here. Again, they're going to have a rally here and then do the march. Actually, if we pan over here to the left, you can see a bunch of folks still walking in with their signs, crossing the interstate there. So people still arriving at this hour. But again, organizers did tell me they are expecting around 30,000 people out here today. Jasmine.
Wow, 30,000 people hoping to make an impact today. Any road closures for people who actually want to go to the protest or people just driving in the area? Do we have any information about road closures over there?
The roads are open at this point. Cars are able to move freely, but as soon as the march does begin, obviously those roads would be closed for that time being. But right now the roads are still open.
Thank you so much for joining us to talk about this. We'll check back in with you later. Guys, we have another reporter on the grounds there at the state capitol. Our Ray Urena is there, and he also has been covering this protest this morning. Ray, have you been able to talk to anyone on the ground?
Jasmine, but we have seen a lot of people coming into this protest and still filing in as this march is about to get underway. I'm going to show you exactly what we're looking at across the street here. You can see there are some upside down United States flags. We've seen some signs saying no kings, no clowns was one of the signs I saw. But a lot of the issues, you can tell that there's a lot of frustration with the current administration that's leading to these protests. There's a lot of signs against immigration, the Trump administration's mass deportation policy. They are talking right now, some of the organizers are saying to the people that they are human, that they deserve rights, and that's getting a lot of applause from the crowd. But I want to have photojournalist Eric Len just kind of show you around over here. And Eric, if you look all the way up top, it looks like police are starting to get ready to close some of the roads near the state capitol where we are at. We're on the Memorial Drive Greenway at the start of where this march is going to be, and you can see police over there at the intersection apparently trying to start the process of shutting down these roads near the state capitol. And this No Kings protest, typically in the past, I have not covered any in the Atlanta area, but typically in No Kings protests in the past from where I have covered in Greenville, South Carolina, they've mainly remained peaceful, but there you can tell there is a lot of frustration for some of the people in attendance about the current policies and what this current administration is doing, in the last few years here, Jasmine.
Ray, thank you so much for giving us an update here at the state capitol. I know that protests getting ready to start pretty soon. Now, Ray, have any local or state leaders spoke out about this?
Not that we have heard yet. We are trying to reach out to the Georgia Republican Party. We also reached out to them for comment on them. But it looks like this is mainly for just your average Joes just coming down here and just venting their frustration about just some of the current policies out here. You can see some of them are starting to walk a bit closer. It looks like they're getting a bit more organized. So this march is about to start. We'll check in with you in just a little bit.
Sounds good, Ray. Thank you so much for joining our stream today. We'll check in with you a little bit later. Guys, that was out there at the state capitol. We have 2 reporters out there, and hopefully we can hear some of the people there on the grounds coming up later this morning, because we do want to hear from some of the people. We also want to be fair, and so we're trying to get some information from local leaders in opposition to this protest. When we have that information, we will bring that in the stream. We have not seen President Trump speak out about this just yet, but when we get any local leaders on the opposing side who might be against the No Kings protest, we will bring that into our stream. For now, let's go ahead and bring in our Caitlin Pratt this morning. She has a little bit of information here on the history of the No Kings protest here in the Atlanta area. And Caitlin, one happened back in June. So let's start there with that one.
Yes. So we've had 2. This is the third one, and we do have some video we're going to show you of those past ones. I want to touch on, Jasmine, though. You mentioned no reaction yet from President Donald Trump. Just check Truth Social, nothing there. But in the past, he has responded with mockery to the No Kings events, posting AI memes to social media. One of them depicting him in a crown and flying a fighter jet emblazoned with King Trump. And President also calling October's mass protests a joke, describing them as very small, very ineffective. And just this past week, 2 days ago, when asked about today's No Kings events across the nation, the White House answering that the only people who care about these Trump derangement therapy sessions are the reporters who are paid to cover them. This is a quote from White House spokesperson Abigail Jackson saying this on Thursday. But organizers, though, Jasmine, say they are undeterred. They say each time they show up, they disrupt President Trump's attempts to rule through repression, remind the country and the world, they say, that people power is the path to a truly free America. So what are the approval ratings right now? Always good to get some analytics that way, some numbers. Here in Georgia, Civics ratings show, Civics spelled C-I-V-I-Q-S, 41% of Georgians favor President Trump right now. 56% are against him, 3% unsure right now. We're talking about the approval ratings. This is from a Civics poll. Some national approval ratings, Fox News saying that President Trump stands at 57% against, 43% for. This is as of the beginning of March. And of course, a lot can happen since the beginning of the month. People out protesting today. Immigration, certainly a rallying cry for many of these protesters. The war in Iran also driving people to the streets. And just a look back, that more than 5 million people were out in June for this inaugural No Kings event, and that swelled to 7 million for October's protest. No word right now, Jasmine, on how many people we can expect throughout the United States. But what is clear is that thousands of these demonstrations are planned throughout the day, not just this morning, but throughout the afternoon into the evening hours. And we do, as you mentioned, have a team of reporters out here in the metro Atlanta area giving you a look in real time of the demonstrators there and also the police presence. This is, as they have said over and over on social media posts, a peaceful event. So I'm going to start monitoring some of the social media feeds and see if we can turn those around for you streaming with us right now.
All right, Caitlin, that sounds good. Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of the history behind the No Kings protest demonstrations, the protests here, right here in the city of Atlanta. I do want to know, what security measures have been taken in the past when it comes to the demonstrations?
I believe it's more of just all hands on the deck, just to have that presence and show that, yeah, if there is a problem, there will be a response. And also situations like this, right? People are walking, maybe they have a medical emergency. So it's always important to have that police presence, that medic presence, fire crews, things of that nature, just in case something were to happen, whether it's medically, whether people getting out of line, impacting traffic or impeding traffic, I should say. But all in all, for the most part, this has been a very peaceful process.
Caitlin, thank you so much for joining us to discuss the No Kings protest, and we'll check back in with you a little later.
For sure.
Especially when it comes to social media as well, and see whatever you can find there.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and move forward. Let's get into some local headlines, and we'll check back in with our reporters a little later on the No Kings protest. First, let's talk about the Georgia State Patrol. They were involved in an officer-involved shooting recently. And so we do know that a trooper shot a man out in Newton County. I'm going to change that banner for you to reflect the story that we're talking about here. So here's what we know. A 20-year-old Covington man was shot by a Georgia State Patrol trooper. This happened yesterday afternoon around 3:30 p.m. on Old Oak Court near Salem Road. According to the GBI, who is involved with this investigation, troopers were attempting to pull over a man named Jamari Thurman while assisting GBI Metro Gang Task Force agents. The GBI stated the stop was for a traffic violation. Thurman led troopers on a pursuit that ended in the cul-de-sac of Old Oak Court, and you could see that on your screen there in that video. Investigators say Thurman fled the vehicle on foot. That means he just ran away. When a trooper saw him holding a firearm, the officer fired a shot, striking him. So a GSP spokesperson confirmed the trooper was not injured. Thurman was flown from nearby Liberty Middle School to a hospital. It's unclear if Thurman will face any charges in this situation, but again, the GBI will investigate the use of force and turn over its findings to the district attorney's office there. So that's an important story. Another one here, a child recently died in a fire. Very sad story here. We've been seeing a lot of fires in the Atlanta area and the surrounding area. So officials have identified this 2-year-old killed in a Mcdonough fire that happened on Thursday night. So let me give you the background here. So again, that fire happened on Thursday night. Fire crews were called to Labont Parkway just after 4:40 p.m. for a home structure fire. According to officials, when they arrived, family members told firefighters a child was still inside a bedroom of the burning home. Now, crews reported seeing flames coming from a second-story window. First responders immediately searched the home and removed the child, who was then taken to a local hospital. He's been identified as 2-year-old Demetrius Dillard, and sadly, he died from his injuries at the hospital. Crews extinguished the flames and prevented the fire from spreading, and the American Red Cross is assisting the residents who were displaced in this fire. State fire officials are investigating the cause of this fire. But again, a family is mourning the loss of a 2-year-old killed in this fire. Very sad here. We will continue to follow the story as investigators probe this home fire, and we are, the residents, the loved ones of that 2-year-old and the residents who are without a home today are in our thoughts. Your time is 10:16. We'll take a look at your weather when we return. Welcome to Fox 5 News Live, guys. I'm Jasmine Cornell, and I'm here with our lovely Paul Milliken.
Yeah.
Joining us on this Saturday morning to talk weather.
And, you know, here's the thing. So for years, I've worked here almost 15 years. Whenever I work on a weekend morning, Jasmine, every time there's severe weather. So I think you were the good luck charm today.
Yay, I'm glad
Thank
for
you.
that.
Thank you. Today is a beautiful day. And for once, I don't have to tell you to take cover. So except from the pollen, that we should all take cover for. Let's get to our graphics, though. The one thing that we do need to talk about today is that red flag warning. And this is important because a lot of folks are going to be outside today. Maybe you're gathering with friends and family. If you're doing something that involves a fire, cooking out, something like that, remember this red flag warning is in place. So this is going to be until 8 p.m. tonight. And in case you don't know, a red flag warning just means critical fire danger. So they issue these when it gets really dry, when it's windy out there. And the concern is that a spark would cause a fire and then it would move really fast. It would spread really quickly. So that's the concern today. Again, if you're going to be out and about today, just make sure that you use caution. If you smell smoke, call authorities and let them know, because the possibility is there that there's an area of concern that they need to watch out for. But aside from the red flag warning and the pollen, there is nothing going on today, which is exactly how we like it on a Saturday. So check this out. You go into the afternoon, you've got plenty of sunshine out there, clear skies, and temperatures feeling really comfortable today, too. So we hit the 80s yesterday. I'll tell you, I was out at Truist Park, of course, for the home opener of the Atlanta Braves, which was fantastic. And it was hot out there. All the news crews were sweating. That is not the case today. It feels really nice out there. So I think today and tomorrow, both perfect baseball weather over at Truist Park. And the reason things have cooled down, we got a cold front, which is crossing through the region. It's a dry frontal passage, which is very nice. That's why we're not seeing rain or storms out of this one. But it is causing things to be a little bit cooler. And it will also cause a bit of a wind shift today. For now, winds are coming in out of the north. They'll be a little more easterly as we go later into the day and the overnight hours. So right now, still staying a bit cool here at 10:20 in the morning. 44 up in Dalton. We're at 46 in Blairsville, 48 in Canton, up to 53 now in Atlanta, 54 in Griffin, and a 59 in Covington. Now let's look at the dew points. And again, this is a really important number today. I don't expect you to look at this and know exactly what it means, but what you should know is that a dew point is the measure of moisture the air can hold. So when the number is low, it cannot hold much moisture. That means the air is dry, and these are very low dew points. And again, that's why, along with these sustained and gusty winds, there is the red flag warning in place. Right now, sustained winds out of the north at about 18 miles per hour in Carrollton, 18 in Rome as well, and about 14 miles per hour here in Atlanta. So it is breezy out there. And then, of course, there's some stronger gusts, too. That wind is not helping with the pollen. All it's doing is blowing it around in the air, making it more miserable for most of you. Today's pollen count is extremely high, 4640. That is the second highest number we've had in the past 7 days. The big pollens today, once again, going to be tree pollen. So the pine, the oak, got your mulberry, your birch, your sycamore. All you need to know is take your allergy pill this morning. And here is the 7-day forecast again, looking beautiful this weekend. And then, look, Jasmine said she's a hot weather girl, and we aim to please Jasmine. So we go back to the 70s for Monday, and then Tuesday through the end of the week, looking amazing. We've got 80s back in the forecast. That is a very warm and unusual start to April. The only issue is we will have storms Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It's about a 50%. I don't think it's going to be like a big washout. I don't think it's going to be severe weather. It's because it's going to be hot, and we're going to get those afternoon showers and storms each day. So keep the umbrella nearby. Otherwise, enjoy the temperatures.
All right. Now looking forward to the rain, but I know that it's needed to wash away that pollen that we're all seeing on our cars
and feeling. Oh my gosh, I'm dying. Yeah, it's rough.
Well, I hope you feel better.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, Paul, thank you so much for joining us to talk weather this morning.
You got it.
All right, guys, let's move forward and talk about the No Kings protests, some of them happening nationwide. First, let's talk about Utah. Some residents there are preparing for the protests. Let's go ahead and bring up that video. And so a reporter out there spoke with some residents. There we go. There's the video. Okay, there we have it. So we know that thousands in Utah are expected to protest today for the No Kings protests. In Utah, 18 protests are scheduled throughout the day, and what organizers say is a way to voice opposition to the actions of the current administration. Today's protests come after similar events that remained relatively peaceful last summer and fall in Utah. During the June protests in Salt Lake City, a bystander was killed when a volunteer peacekeeper shot at a man he believed to have been a threat. The person who was accused of shooting that man, Matthew Alder, has been charged with second-degree felony manslaughter and the death of a fashion designer. So that victim was a fashion designer, and excuse me if I mispronounce his name, but ACLU. Other than the Salt Lake City incident, which happened as thousands marched downtown in that area, no other incidents were reported in Utah. And those protests held in June and October. And according to organizers, the summer protests drew 5 million people. That is a lot of people. The fall event saw 7 million. So, you know, this No Kings protest brings out millions of people across the country. And right here in the state of Utah, millions came out in their fall and summer protests. So a big event that we're continuing to cover. And as I mentioned earlier, we do like to be fair and try to share both sides. When we see a response from the president, who is expected to be in opposition of the No Kings protest, and when we see a response from his GOP counterparts and GOP leaders, then we will bring that up. But for now, just wanted to take a look at Utah. We know that protests are also set to happen in Los Angeles and in D.C. We don't have video for those areas, but just looking at my notes in D.C., thousands will gather today for the march there, organized locally by the local chapters of the Indivisible and allied grassroots groups. The event aims to draw protesters to the downtown Washington area and surrounding counties to again oppose that is the Trump administration and to voice broader concerns about civil rights and democratic norms. The march in D.C. Will kick off at 10 in the morning. Participants are going to gather at Memorial Circle near Arlington Cemetery. So we actually do have video from Los Angeles now. So this actually is just showing the city preparing for the No Kings protest expected to take place there. Some freeway gates were installed in Los Angeles ahead of those protests today. Iron gates, that is, were installed along the California freeway. This is just to keep protesters off the highway. Crews there were seen installing these gates along the on and off ramps for Highway 101 in downtown Los Angeles on Thursday. And a spokesperson for Caltrans, which is the group they're working on the gates, says the gates are just a, quote, proactive safety measure and were requested by California Highway Patrol after protesters walked along the freeway during the past protests. So again, we talked a little bit about D.C. Here is how Los Angeles is preparing for the protests happening this morning. Don't know what time their protest is expected to start, but we do know that the D.C. one kicked off at 10 a.m. So that one should be underway. If we see any video to our side of protests, matter of fact, I can see some video. If we can pull that up a little later, I will, and we'll get some of the protests happening nationwide. We'll bring that to you live. So another event that was held recently, some celebrities hosted a First Amendment event, and they did touch on a little bit the No Kings protests happening today. So actor Jane Fonda and other celebrities rally outside the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. yesterday. This event was called Artists United for Our Freedoms. Entertainers, including folk singers and several other artists, say they are speaking out against a, quote, takeover of the Arts Center. Fonda blasted the Trump administration on plans for the entertainment and culture venue, which include closing it down for 2 years for extensive renovations. She also encouraged people to get more involved in political activism. So you'll hear from her. And then also actor Sam Waterston also criticized the Trump administration and referred to the anti-authoritarian playbook. So let's take a listen to both of them.
Support the writers. Buying tickets now is a political act, so let's do it more than ever. And tomorrow we're going to see a great example of community building. You know, the No Kings protests, don't just go. Bring 5 people. Bring 5 people that have never been to a protest. You know, No Kings is like first step. It's like hands reaching out saying, come on, it's okay, dip your toe in, it'll be fine, you'll meet new friends.
As it says in the anti-authoritarian playbook, before the camps, before the purges, before the marches, there is a theater going dark. The gallery closing. The comedian silence, the musician band. This is not coincidence.
All right, guys, again, those are celebrities there. Jane Fonda, an actress, and Sam Waterston, he's also an actor. They're speaking out at this First Amendment rally. Again, more than 3,000, and they also address the No Kings demonstration as well, encouraging people to affiliate, to speak out against injustices and politics. So again, more than 3,000 No Kings demonstrations are scheduled today to condemn President Trump's policies. But this specific First Amendment rally held by the celebrities, it was called the Artists United for Freedoms, and they are doing this, speaking out against a, quote, takeover of the Arts Center, and that's according to them. But your time here is 10:30, so let's go ahead and pause right here. When we return, we'll check in with our Eli Jordan, who's out in Griffin, looking at the No Kings protest there. Welcome back, guys. No Kings protests underway across the nation and right here in Georgia. Let's go ahead and bring in our Eli Jordan, who's been covering the protests out in Griffin. And Eli, you've been able to speak to some people there on the ground. What are they saying?
Hey, good morning, Jasmine. Yeah, I am in Griffin, Spalding County. It's a really good turnout here, about 250 people. Let me you can see kind of behind me there. And they're getting the message out. They're happy with the turnout. But I'm here with one of the co-founders of Southern Crescent Indivisible, which is kind of organized this protest here, Irene Shane. Hey, Irene, thanks for joining us. Tell me, how do you feel about the turnout, and what's your message out here today?
Well, the turnout is great. We've got probably about 250 or so people out here, and we're really happy with that. And we're here because, Eli, our country is lost. It's lost its way. We're not a country of billionaires and bigotry and authoritarianism. We are a country of education. We're a country of equal rights, of opportunity. And so we're here to say, hey, this is what we're about. We're not about all the other stuff going on. I think the path our country is on is destructive, and we need to find our way home, and that's why we're here, and we're going to keep coming out as much as it takes.
Tell me about that. This is the third No Kings protest we've had in just under a year. Why is it important for you guys to keep coming out and getting the word out?
Well, each time we come out, we have new people who come with us. We have the people who have been with us, but we have new people who say, I understand. We are on the wrong path right now. I need to help out. And so that's what we see. And for Southern Crescent Indivisible, in the past year, we've done over 60 protests like this, and we will keep going.
And you guys, are doing several protests today, correct?
Yes, we're doing 3 protests. We're doing one here, one in Mcdonough, which is Henry County, and one in Fayetteville, which is Fayette County.
And you guys, Southern Crescent Indivisible, what is your, message or platform?
Our platform is a real democracy, a democracy for, of, and by the people.
And Southern Crescent Indivisible, you guys kind of organize protests here in the southern metro area around Atlanta?
That's right, yes. But we reach into some rural counties as well. We cover Pike County, and we cover Upson County as well. So we reach there, but we also reach into Clayton County as well.
So what kind of reaction do you get? I guess you got a lot of, it's not just a group going around, but locals in those counties come out and join you guys, correct?
That's right. That's right. Lots of locals, and we have over 400 members right now in our organization. So we have lots of support, and we have people who come out to every protest that we do.
And the concerns kind of pretty much cover the gamut, don't they? Everything from healthcare to war, I guess.
Everything. Yes. Education is a big one. Opportunity. Healthcare is huge. You name it, people are concerned.
Awesome. Well, Irene Shane, co-founder, organizer of the Southern Crescent Indivisible here in Griffin along East Taylor Street. You can hear horns honking as people are speaking their slogans, and people reacting with the horns honking, and they're out here with their signs, getting their message out here in Griffin. It's a pretty big turnout, about 250 people so far this morning, and they're going to be moving up to Mcdonough a little bit later on today, and then over to Fayette later on. And this morning, or today, like you said, this is an all-day event going on across the country, and No Kings protest, and this is just one of the protests happening in Georgia here in Griffin, Spalding County.
All right, Eli,
Jasmine?
Thank you so much for giving us an update here on the No Kings protest out in Griffin, Georgia. We'll check back in with you later, Eli. Guys, I do see to my right here that we can see the No Kings protest happening right now in DC. So let's go ahead and bring that live. The video is a little bit fuzzy here, but you can kind of see there are hundreds of people out there in the DC area protesting. And I'm going to read you just a little bit here about what's happening there in DC. Pull up some of my notes here. So again, this protest started around 10 this morning. So, and as you can see, hundreds of people, from what I can tell, are out there protesting here. This is organized by the local chapters of Indivisible Coalition. So we've been speaking with them, and we heard them speak today here in Atlanta. That's the Indivisible Georgia Coalition, and also just other allied grassroots groups. This event, again, aims to draw protesters to downtown Washington and surrounding counties to oppose policies of the Trump administration. This march kicked off at 10 in the morning. Participants gathered at Memorial Circle near the Arlington Cemetery with additional access from Blue Line and nearby at the Fashion Center at Pentagon City. This is according to event organizers. Protesters are expected to head across the Memorial Bridge into D.C., passing the Lincoln Memorial and continuing on to the Washington Monument. At the conclusion of the march, participants can walk to a downtown rally from about 1:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. So like Eli said, here in Georgia, these protests are expected to happen all day today. People in Washington, D.C. will be marching as well. Again, after the march, participants can go to that downtown rally. That's from 1:30 to 4 p.m. So we're expecting the No Kings protests and events associated with this to happen all day today as well. So I just wanted to give you a live look there at D.C. And it's some of the activists there marching. But your time is it's actually 10:39. For now, we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll have some more news. Welcome to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell here with you this morning, covering and following the No Kings protests happening nationwide and right here in the state of Georgia. We did take a look at some happening across the state already in Griffin near the state capitol. We know that one is expected to take place in Mcdonough and just several areas here in Georgia. So guys, you know, I want to play that press conference that was held earlier. So a little bit of background information. The Indivisible Georgia Coalition and the ACLU of Georgia outlined the stakes, the turnout, and their call to action ahead of the protests at the state capitol in Atlanta. So those leaders spoke. They addressed the growing concerns around what they say is attacks on civil liberties and democratic institutions, and they outlined what Georgians could expect today ahead of the protests. So I want to go ahead and play that video where we hear Laura Judge from the Indivisible Georgia Coalition and Chris Bruce from ACLU of Georgia outline the plans and talk about what they're demanding here during these protests.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Makes the dream work.
Lord, not playing.
Hey, when we're fighting democracy, we have joy. We have joy.
I love it.
I just realized all four of us are black.
And I love it.
I do too. I do too.
Good to go.
Okay.
Good to go.
You ready, Antonio? Okay. Good morning, and thank you all for being here. My name is Laura Judge, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Indivisible Georgia Coalition, a statewide network of grassroots indivisible organizations and community leaders working to defend democracy, protect civil liberties, and build people power across Georgia. Today, people across our state will join communities in all 50 states for a nationwide day of action with one clear message. We don't do kings in this country. Power belongs to the people. Indivisible groups across Georgia have been organizing for years to make sure our communities are informed, engaged, and ready to take action. And through Indivisible National, we are part of a broader movement that connects local organizing to coordinated nationwide action. The No Kings mobilization is one of those moments. It brings together people across the country who are standing up for the same basic idea, that in a democracy, no one is above the law. What we're seeing right now is a pattern of attacks on our rights, our freedoms, and our democratic institutions, and people are paying attention. They are choosing to show up instead of staying silent. Here in Georgia, we know what it means to fight for our rights. From the ballot box to the streets, our communities have always stepped up in critical moments. This is one of those moments. Today's protest in Atlanta will be a peaceful, community-led action that includes a march and a rally. It is designed to be like our past events, accessible, organized, and rooted in nonviolence. People can expect a strong, visible show of our community, with folks from across the state coming together and share values of freedom, fairness, and accountability. This is not about any one person, it's about a bigger people. We believe in a country where leaders are held accountable, where our rights are protected, and where power stays where it belongs, with the people. And that's why we're showing up today. We invite everyone who believes in those values to join us. Show up, bring your community, be part of something bigger, because this is how we protect our democracy. No kings, not here, not now, not ever. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Christopher Bruce. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of the ACLU of Georgia, an organization wholeheartedly devoted to protecting your civil rights and civil liberties. Let me be clear from the offset. We do not have kings in this country. We have a Constitution. And today, we are here because the Constitution and all of the rights that's guaranteed under it are under threat. An abuse of power, an erosion of our democratic norms, and direct attacks on the rights of everyday people. That include attacks on the right to vote, efforts to rewrite the truth of the 2020 election, and the policies that undermine the very foundation of our democracy. That should be a concern to every American, regardless of political party. Because this is not about partisanship. This is about power. This is about accountability. We are also seeing the human cost of this administration. Families separated, communities living in fear, journalists being detained, and immigration enforcement that mirrors abuses of people across this country, and that's why we're out here today protesting. Let me say this plainly. We marched to stop the brutalization of communities by police, and we will not accept the same brutality under a different name. From Social Circle to Hall County to seeing detention centers and practices popping up over Georgia that are not wanted or needed. People are not packages, and this country is not a kingdom. At the very same time, we are calling on leaders at every level of government, local, state, and federal, to do your job. Members of Congress must exercise your constitutional authority on other branches. They must protect programs like Medicaid that millions rely on, and they must defend the constitutional balance of power, including their own authority. Silence is not neutrality. Silence is complicity. And let me be equally clear about why we are here today. People across the country have a fundamental First Amendment right to petition their government. That right is not optional. It is not conditional. It is fundamental. The No Kings movement is about reminding this nation that power belongs to the people, not only the office holders. And in moments like this, when our democracy is not self-executing, we need people to stand up. It requires participation. So we are calling on people to stay engaged, show up, speak out, make sure you vote in every election, and support organizations that are doing the work every single day to protect your civil rights and civil liberties. Because this movement is not theoretical. It's urgent. It's needed. So I will close where I began. We do not have kings in this country. We have laws. We have rights. And we have a constitution. Let's uphold it. Thank you. With that, I'll take any questions. Yes, so today we are going to start with a rally at Memorial Green. Then we'll have a march around our state capitol and end at Memorial Green again. As far as how many people, I think about 20.
We're expecting 30,000.
We're expecting around 30,000 people, which is pretty much the same as what we had last time, right?
Close to.
Close to about that, yes. Well, democracy is a participatory sport, so you can't just do one march and not having follow-up. This is a reminder to people that our Constitution and our democracy is under threat. This is a time for them to stand up. And this is a pivotal time, too. Elections are coming up. You're going to have judges on the ballot, including our Supreme Court, as well as other people who are running for office. Let's make sure that people are reminded this is their time to vote. I was about to say, I'm not doing it. Here, go on. Yes. Go ahead. I got you. You want to take that?
I think you should take that one.
Repeat that question. We'll just hold it. There you go.
Propaganda.
What kind of propaganda education efforts are there
You're just talking about spreading propaganda? Could you hold this? Yeah, thank you. Well, let's look into your question in the deepest way possible. Propaganda isn't something new, right? It has happened throughout history. The question is, do you have clear, authentic voices speaking out on your behalf that are unbiased? So yes, we've seen this, and this conversation comes up in the media, but it's now under strict attack. We know now that journalists are being prosecuted for doing their jobs. That is an issue. Some news organizations are being bought by billionaires. That is the issue when it comes to influencing and reporting out real news. So is propaganda an issue? It always has been. But at this time when our democracy is under a threat, we need to answer and respond in the proper way. Maybe I didn't, okay?
I think I can
Go ahead.
handle some. Sorry. Thank you for that question. Currently, I don't know of any ongoing efforts, but it's up to us as a people. I know myself, I work with someone who uses AI a lot. AI is going to be a problem with those propaganda efforts. And we have to educate our people. These are all volunteer organizations. People have to get out there and educate each other. And we have to elect legislators that put policy in action to know what is propaganda, letting people know to be media literate, to know what is happening out there, to question things. It's okay to question what's put in front of your face. And so as someone who works in AI, someone who normally talks to the media, I think it's really important that we get that message out to everyday people. It's hard to do it on a mass scale, but it starts with just one. Does that answer your question, sir?
Again, guys, you were just taking a listen there to the press conference ahead of the No Kings protest. The Indivisible Georgia Coalition and ACLU of Georgia outlined the turnout, their demands, and what you all can expect today during this protest. And we'll continue to talk about this today, the No Kings protest happening nationwide. When we return, we'll take a look at our chopper, who's currently the chopper that's flying over the protest in Atlanta. We'll be right back. Welcome back. No Kings protest, as we've been mentioning, underway across the metro Atlanta area. I want to take a look at some video real quick, live video. Sky Fox 5 is currently flying over the protests happening in near the state capitol there. Right now we're just seeing some cars and stuff, so hopefully we can get it over the actual people walking. Oh, there we go. I see the people there down there. It looks like they're standing, so it looks like they haven't started walking or marching just yet. But we know that this protest is happening right here in Metro Atlanta area. Sky Fox 5 flying over people. Again, just standing there. We are we were waiting for the protesters to start marching, and hopefully we'll see that happening soon. But I did want to show you this live video that we have from our chopper Sky Fox 5, and we'll bring this back up. Your time 10:58. When we return, we'll continue to dive deep into the No Kings protest here in the state and nationwide. Welcome back, guys. No Kings protest underway across the nation and also right here in the state of Georgia. We know that ralliers are calling for the end to injustices across America. Let's go ahead and bring in our Kim Leffler, who's at the protest in near the state capitol. Kim, you know, they haven't started marching yet. Can you talk about what's happening right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a rally going on right now. Senator Raphael Warnock is actually speaking at this point. You can see the crowd all gathered here in this green space. This is just on the other side of the interstate from the state capitol. We do expect that march to start here at any moment now. This is actually the third No Kings protest that we have seen since President Donald Trump took office. We see a lot of people with with signs as well. A lot of people wearing costumes, which is typical of what we have seen in the previous protests. But we did catch up with some of the organizers of this rally today that talked a little bit about the importance of doing this month after month. Take a listen.
Okay, and so we got to have people standing up strong, realizing where we are in this situation. So we are at the place where we're about to lose our democracy. So I think it's very, very important to be here today.
And that was actually a woman that we talked to, someone attending the protest here. She tells me that she actually did attend. This is her third protest she attended. She attended the first two, and that happened in both June and October. Now, I don't know if we have the sound from the organizers from a press conference that they held before this all started at the state capitol. If we have that, they talked a little bit about the importance of being out here today.
What we're seeing right now is a pattern of attacks on our rights, our freedoms, and our democratic institutions, and people are paying attention. They are choosing to show up instead of staying silent. Here in Georgia, we know what it means to fight for our rights. From the ballot box to the streets, our communities have always stepped up in critical moments. This is one of those moments.
You can't just do one march and not having follow-up. This is a reminder to people that our Constitution and our democracy is under threat. This is a time for them to stand up. And this is a pivotal time too. Elections are coming up. You're going to have judges on the ballot, including our Supreme Court, as well as other people who are running for office. Let's make sure that people are reminded this is their time to vote.
And also during this rally that this is a peaceful protest. We have seen some members of the Atlanta Police Department out here so far. Everything has remained peaceful. Again, we do expect them to begin marching here at any moment. We're told they're going to go to the state capitol, kind of circle the state capitol there, and then come back to this area. And of course, we will be here live and bring that to you when it does happen. Jasmine.
That sounds good, Kim. Before we let you go, we're hearing the phrase "No Kings" during this demonstration today. Can you explain what this means, what that means, that phrase means to the people there on the ground?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for the people here, that phrase "No Kings" simply means that, democracy, we are democracy here in America, and they say that the power is in the people's hands, not in the hands of a king. So that is where this "No Kings" kind of phrase and terminology comes from.
And guys, we are waiting for this march to start, as Kim said. Now, Kim, what security measures or what security presence have you seen so far at the rally behind you?
Well, we know Atlanta Police has said that they are going to have additional officers on hand here, as this protest is going on. I have seen some officers just kind of scattered around this area as well. No major sign of a police force right now. We also did see by the state capitol, Georgia State Patrol kind of closing off some roadways up that way. But, certainly their presence is here, but they're just here to make sure that everyone can make their voices heard and that everything does stay organized as well.
All right, Kim, thank you so much. We'll check back in with you a little later to talk about the No Kings protest there. Guys, not too far away from Kim, we have our Ray Urena out at the protest near the state capitol. And let's check in with him to see if he's been able to talk to some people there on the ground. Hey, Ray, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Jasmine. Yeah, like Kim was saying, U.S. Senator Raphael Warnock, he's currently addressing the crowd during this rally portion. But as we look from where we are at the state capitol location, there's a lot of frustration from people I've talked to on the ground here, whether that be the war in Iran or the current situation in Cuba or the war and the extraction, I should say, of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. A lot of that has led some people to come out today, but in addition to some of the policies that the administration has put out, such as their mass deportations, for using ICE to gather mass deportations, that's been a big ordeal. But for some of the people here, one of the main reasons is because of the war in Iran, because of all the wars and the situations overseas, plus all the unsteadiness and economy, gas prices. All those little issues are leading up to a lot of frustration to people here in and around the state capitol. We talked to a couple of women not too long ago about why they are here today. Here's what they had to say.
Because we have no reason to have a king in the administration we have now, and I've been at every demonstration there's been and will continue to do that to express my thoughts.
How about you, Diane?
Everything is so messed up right now. I just think that we have to get in the streets and to tell everybody we have to stop.
And we just got a text message from the Republican chair of the Georgia Republican Party, Josh McCoon, and he says, in part, quote, and I'm just going to read this here, that the real threat to our republic, the closest thing that America has to kings, are the unelected federal judges who routinely substitute their own policy preferences for the will of the people and their elected representatives. With lifetime appointments and zero accountability, these activist jurists override Congress, the president, and state legislatures on a regular basis with no consequences whatsoever. They do not answer to voters. They do not face re-election. They simply impose their ideology from the bench and dare anyone to stop them. So that's what we've heard from some of the Republican leadership in Georgia as we wait for this protest, the third No Kings protest, to march to the state capitol. Jasmine.
All right, Ray, thank you so much for giving us that update there. You're there on the grounds. Thank you so much for showing us this and giving us that statement from the GOP person, that Republican leader there. Ray, thanks. We'll check back in with you a little later. And guys, we do want to be fair as we cover the No Kings protest and give you the opposing side, give you the side of those who will not necessarily support, or who will not support, this No Kings protest here. But Caitlin joins us now. Our Caitlin Pratt is here to talk a little bit about the history. And Caitlin, I'm also wondering if you've been able to see any, statements from local or state leaders.
We're starting to get some response. Of course, these demonstrations just beginning in the last hour, the one that Ray and Kim were at. And while I talk, let's see if we can take that chopper and show you from Skyfox 5 just the vantage point you see in that grassy area. Oof, the crush of people, but also on overpasses as well. A popular place for folks to hold their signs and get their message to the drivers below. Now, as both Ray and Kim mentioned, this is the third time that protests like these are happening here in Atlanta, in the metro area, and you're looking at just one of many across our state of Georgia. 57 at last check were scheduled to be held today at varying hours. This is the one near the Capitol you're looking at right now in Atlanta, the No Kings Atlanta. Happening will last until 1 o'clock at Memorial Drive Greenway here. There's also one on North Highland Avenue happening as we speak, and another one this afternoon at 3. This is all in Atlanta. There's also one in Athens, Tucker, surrounding areas, so happening throughout the day. And we're learning that organizers are hoping that this is going to be the largest single-day nonviolent protest in U.S. history. That's the goal in all of this. Back in June, 5 million people across the country came out for the inaugural No Kings events, and that participation then swelled to 7 million for October's protests. More than 3,000 local events in all today. No King's Day of nonviolent action across our nation. Immigration, certainly a rallying cry for many of these protesters. The war in Iran also be driving people to the streets, and also to the price of gas related to the conflict in Iran right now. Also, people say they can't afford the basics. They want that message out there as well. And it's been really interesting, Jasmine, to see the signs that people create. They say so much, right, without them even having to open their mouths. No ICE, no wars. That was a major one I saw from the sky, from our camera lens in Skyfox 5 right now. About 5 people carrying that one particular sign. You also see the American flags upside down, things of that nature. So as as for the organizers, on their webpage, they're saying regarding today's events, quote, our families are under attack, costs are pushing people to the brink. Silence is not an option. This is a quote from their website, from organizers of today's event across the nation. We're going to defend ourselves, our communities, against this administration's unjust and cruel acts of violence. America does not belong to strong men, greedy billionaires, or those who rule through fear. It belongs to us, the people. So I suppose that would be a mission statement of sorts for today's event, and now just getting underway here in the metro area and across our nation.
Caitlin, thank you so much for sharing this information. Now, typically we do see President Trump speak out about this stuff. I know he hasn't said anything this morning, but can you talk about what he has said in the past about these demonstrations?
Yeah, for sure. And usually his messages are transferred on social media, Truth Social, right? Nothing there so far this morning, but in the past he has made fun of, in plain terms, made fun of these days of protest, the last two events in June and then in October, even made some memes himself with a crown on, making fun of the efforts. When asked earlier this week, press people at the White House said they're not worried about this and kind of brushed it off. So it'll be interesting to see what, if any, reaction he does give. And of course, we're trying to get both sides of this day of action and bring you the very latest here on Fox Local.
Absolutely. Caitlin, thank you so much for joining us to talk about the No Kings protest and what you're seeing so far on social media.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and take live what's happening in D.C. So No Kings protest is happening there, and we want to bring that live picture to you. Again, thousands of people expected to turn up for this protest here happening live in D.C. I'm going to clear out that banner for you because we've moved on from Georgia, and we're talking about what's happening in our nation's capital. And let me pull up some notes for you guys. This rally, No Kings rally, is underway in the DMV right now. We know that it's expected to happen all day. And again, it's organized by the Indivisible, the local chapter of Indivisible, and some allied grassroots groups out there in the DC area again, and it's working to draw protesters to the downtown area of DC to join this rally and to express their concerns of the policies released by the current administration, the Trump administration. They're also working to voice broader concerns about civil rights and democratic norms. We know that the march here in the D.C. area kicked off at 10 a.m. And, hopefully we can get this live picture back up. It looks like they are moving their video a little bit there. But this march did kick off at 10 a.m. this morning. And there we go. You can see participants there gathering with their signs. Doesn't look like they've started marching just yet, but they are rallying. And this all started here at Memorial Circle near the Arlington Cemetery, with additional access from the Blue Line or nearby parking at the Fashion Center at Pentagon City. So protesters are expected to head across the Memorial Bridge in D.C., passing the Lincoln Memorial and continuing on to the Washington Monument. So again, here's a look at the No Kings protests underway in D.C. And again, we're expecting these to happen and take place throughout the day today, nationwide. So this is a look at D.C., guys. Your time is 11:16. When we return, we'll take a look at your forecast. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell. Let's talk weather now.
Yeah.
Yes, so you say that you're allergic to all the pollen.
Everything. I am allergic to everything. I should be in my plastic bubble this time of year.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it's rough out there. I think it is for a lot of people. I mean, the pollen count has been at extremely high now for 7 straight days. And the problem is, I mean, we don't really get relief until we start to get rain to kind of wash things out, clear the air. And that's not going to happen until Wednesday.
Okay.
So buckle up, folks. Here we go. At least the weather otherwise is beautiful. I mean, really, you see out the windows there. I mean, the sun is shining. It's gorgeous outside right now. And temperatures feel really good. I mean, yesterday was up into the 80s, so it was well warmer than average. I mean, it got hot in the afternoon yesterday. That won't be the case today. It'll be super comfortable. I'm forecasting a high of 68 degrees. Our average this time of year is 69. So that's right where we're supposed to be this time of year. So enjoy this while you can. We have those major weather swings here in Georgia. Today is not one of those days, so enjoy the sunshine and the near normal temperatures. Around the region right now, we're slowly warming up. It is slower to happen than I thought it would be, though. Still some 40s up there in Dalton and Blairsville, 51 in Rome. We're at 57 in Gainesville right now and 55 currently in Atlanta. And notice the winds are shifting. So early this morning when you were watching, winds were coming straight down, so they were northerly winds. It's becoming more easterly, so what this tells me is the front is crossing the region. The front has passed our region, and that is why things are a little bit cooler today, because the front is bringing in cooler air. This is a dry frontal passage, so it's not bringing rain or storms, but it is bringing cooler and drier air. And speaking of dry, here are those dew points again. As I've been saying, I don't expect those numbers to mean much to you, but what the dew point tells us is how much moisture the air can hold. And when numbers are this low, it means it is dry out there. So you take this really dry air, and then we're going to put winds on top of it here. Winds right now coming in from the north and east at about 14 miles per hour in Athens, 13 in Covington, 13 in Atlanta. So those are some pretty good sustained winds there. 15 up in Rome, and then put on top of that gusting up to 20, 30 miles per hour. And that is why we have our red flag warning. And this is really the big weather story of the day. The fact that we have critical fire weather. What this means is that it's very dry, it's breezy, and if a fire breaks out, it could spread very quickly. It could become uncontrollably very quickly. So what I want you guys to do is just to be careful with any outdoor activities that could spark a fire. That means if you're cooking out today, doing anything outdoors, be really careful. And if you smell smoke, if you think maybe there is a fire nearby, especially if you live out in a rural area, call authorities and let them know, because again, the fire weather is going to be critical today. It is dangerous out there when you've got the winds blowing like they are and the humidity as low as it is. So red flag warning until 8 o'clock tonight. I'm not sure that we'll see one tomorrow. I think it's going to be a little bit less breezy tomorrow, but we'll keep you posted on that. Meanwhile, here's that terrible pollen count again. Oh, what is going on out there? The picture looks so pretty, doesn't it? All those flowers and the blooming trees, but of course we know what those do. They release pollen into the air, and so today's count is 4640. That is extremely high. That is higher than it was yesterday, and the major tree pollens today are going to be your pines and oaks and mulberry, birch, and sycamore. The mold is low, by the way, if that's something that typically bothers you. Here is the extended forecast, and look at the trend of temperatures here. This is a trend that we like to see. It is going up, up, up. So today and tomorrow in the upper 60s, very comfortable outside. It'll be breezy, but plenty of sunshine. A few more clouds on Monday and Tuesday, but we're warming up. We're back to the 70s on Monday, and then Tuesday we're back to the 80s, and we stay in the 80s on Wednesday and Thursday. So we start off April on a really warm note. The only issue is going to be that chance for showers and storms. Right now, I'm going to say about a 50% for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I don't think it's going to be a washout any of those days, and I don't think this is like a big severe weather event. I think these are typical springtime thunderstorms. They're going to pop up in the afternoon, so keep the umbrella in the backseat of the car. Otherwise, again, the temperatures looking amazing out there. And being that we're on this upward trend going into April, I am very hopeful we're not going to have any more of these freak freezing issues where all of a sudden you wake up and it's like 32 degrees and we're like, what's going on? I think we're done with that. It's looking like April is trending warmer.
All right, that sounds good to me. I love the warm warm weather. Love
I
the
do
80
too.
degree
I do
weather.
too. Yeah.
It's time.
Ready for some pool time, you
Yes,
know?
me
Let's
too.
do it.
Oh, thank you so
You
much
got
for
it.
joining us to
Yeah.
talk weather.
Yeah.
Guys, we're going to go back to the No Kings protest and talk about that. Let's talk about Los Angeles. You know, they are expecting, they say, millions of people to come out across Southern California to protest, to walk and march in this protest here in Los Angeles in the No Kings protest. I'm going to throw up a banner for you. In Los Angeles, we know that freeway gates were installed on Thursday, and officials there say this is just to keep the protesters off the highway. So crews were seen installing the gates along the on and off ramps for Highway 101 in downtown Los Angeles on Thursday, preparing for this big event. Activists calling it the largest single-day mobilization in American history. So we know a massive wave of No Kings protests are set to sweep across Southern California today. And again, activists are calling this the largest single-day mobilization in American history. Following a series of high turnout events in 2025 that drew over 12 million participants, this day of nonviolent action marks a critical escalation in the coalition-led resistance against the current Trump administration's federal policies. So the No Kings Day of Nonviolent Action, again, follows a series of high turnout events in 2025, which saw over 5 million participants in June and 7 million in October. So in California alone, 320 events are currently tracked, with major gatherings planned for Los Angeles City Hall, the California State Capitol in Sacramento, and also in San Francisco as well. So guys, again, Southern California going to see a lot of locations, a lot of rally locations today. And a little bit more about the backstory here of the demonstrations. They emerged shortly after the 2025 inauguration. The No Kings movement is a coalition-led resistance spearheaded by Indivisible. And so we saw them speak earlier today here in Atlanta. We saw a representative of that organization speak. They're one of the groups behind this nationwide rally. The No Kings movement is dedicated to rejecting what organizers characterize as just a king tendency here within the Trump administration, authoritarian, getting tongue-tied here at 11:30. But again, this movement reached a historic turning point on June 2025. So that's June of last year, when millions gathered to protest. And since this initial day of defiance, the group has transitioned into a sustained national force, again, drawing over 12 million participants to date, while maintaining a strict commitment to de-escalation and nonviolence in its ongoing opposition to intensified ICE raids and federal judicial appointments. Again, these leaders are just saying they don't want kings. You can see some of their signs there. Trump must go. So they are really voicing their concerns about the Trump administration's policies. Let's go ahead and move on to Utah. So we know that these protests are happening nationwide. We have some video out of Utah where residents there are preparing. So in Los Angeles and in Utah, their rallies are expected to happen later in the day, expected to start this afternoon, whereas here we've seen people gathering this morning. So in Utah here, residents are preparing, and that's them on your screen, to gather and protest. Thousands of people are expected in the state of Utah and Salt Lake City for their third round of No Kings protests. In Utah, 18 protests are scheduled throughout the day, and what organizers say is a way to voice opposition to the actions, again, of the current administration. Back in June in Salt Lake City, a bystander was killed when a volunteer peacekeeper shot at a man that he believed to be a threat. That person who's accused of shooting the man, Matthew Alder, has been charged with second-degree felony manslaughter. And the victim here was identified as a fashion designer named ACLU. But other than that incident in Salt Lake City, these protests are known to be peaceful and nonviolent. And no other incidents were reported in Utah. And they held protests back in June and October, the summer drawing 5 million people, while the fall event drew 7 million people. So that's a lot of participants gathering. And, the Salt Lake City and the state of Utah are expecting thousands, potentially millions, to gather this time around as well. Your time is 11:30. So when we return, we'll take a look at the No Kings protests happening in Griffin, Georgia. Eli Jordan is out there in Griffin. He did tell me that those protesters are moving to Mcdonough. So we'll check in with him and see where they are right now. Welcome back, guys. We're continuing our coverage of the No Kings protests across the state of Georgia. Our Eli Jordan is out in Griffin. That's where some protesters were gathering this morning. But Eli, you say that they have moved on to their next location.
Good morning, Jasmine. Kind of out here on East Taylor Street here in Griffin, Spalding County, and about 250 people ended up showing up here, and about 9:30 they got underway and they kicked it up for about an hour and a half. And I'll show you, we had a nice scene, about 250 people out here protesting with their signs and everything. But then about 30 minutes ago they started packing it up, and it's Southern Crescent Indivisible is the group that's organizing these protests here south of the metro. And they're heading off to Mcdonough, but they were right out here, and as you can see there's no one out here now, but this whole street, the sidewalk right here in front of me, was packed with people, about 250 people with signs, expressing their grievances toward the current administration, everything from health care, no authoritarianism, stating they're not paid protesters, encouraging people to get out and vote and to resist, and no war, and stop the lies, and of course, no kings were some of the many messages they had on their protest posters and signs and everything out here, and they're out here chanting. The cars were honking as they were driving by, and it was people kept on gathering. Got up to about 250 people out here, and many cars and vehicles that were driving by were honking, and people were cheering, and people had their dogs out here, and now they started backing up, and Southern Crescent Indivisible is now moving on to Mcdonough City Hall for a protest that's scheduled there at 12:30 until 2:30, and then they say that they're going on to Fayetteville later on this afternoon for a 3:30 protest that will be happening there in Fayetteville. But here in Griffin, they showed up about 9:30, got going, and had their signs out here, and it was very peaceful. There's no problems at all. A lot of support as people drove by honking their horns. There's a few not supportive, sending out their gestures and all that stuff, but all in all, it was a very peaceful protest out here in Griffin on East Taylor Street, and they have now moved along, going up into Henry County, into Mcdonough City Hall for their 12:30 protest happening, and I will be heading up that way to cover that for the rest of our program this morning, and I should be bringing that to you in about an hour, Jasmine.
All right, that sounds good, Eli. Thank you so much for covering the protests and bringing us the updates there out in Griffin. As he said, they've moved on to Mcdonough, and that's where he is heading. And we'll catch up with you a little bit later, Eli. Thank you so much. Guys, I want to go ahead and bring back up that live picture that we have out in D.C. So protesters there are gathering, and it looks like, I look to my right, it looks like their march has already started. So we're going to bring that live for you. They are marching here again in this No Kings protest. We are waiting for the Atlanta group to start marching. At last check, they were still just gathered together near the state capitol. But let's talk about here what's happening in D.C. Again, thousands expected to come out here. And let me change that banner for you because we are actually in D.C. and not Georgia. So there that is. No Kings protest and march underway. You can see them marching peacefully. These movements are known for being peaceful, nonviolent, and you see them waving their flags and their signs and moving peacefully. We know that DC police have ramped up their security measures. They're present in the area. Don't see any of them in this picture, but again, we do see people marching here in this No Kings protest, again, protesting against the policies of the Trump administration and voicing broader concerns about civil rights and democratic norms. This march kicked off at 10 this morning, so these people have been marching here for a little over nearly 2 hours, so more than an hour and 30 minutes. They gathered first at Memorial Circle near the Arlington Cemetery, and then this procession will head across the Memorial Bridge into D.C., passing the Lincoln Memorial and continuing on to the Washington Monument. And then after this march, participants can walk to a downtown rally from about 1:30 to 4 p.m. So in addition to this main rally in downtown D.C., several other demonstrations tied to the No Kings movement are scheduled around the DMV. In Arlington, Virginia, activists are organizing a march across the Memorial Bridge, and that started at 10 this morning. Protesters expected to continue into a park there before joining larger crowds in the district proper. So again, there are hundreds of No Kings movements and events, rallies expected to take place today throughout the DMV area. And your time right now is 11:38. When we return, we'll have some local headlines. ahead and talk about something very important, colon cancer awareness. So March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month, and it's a time to focus on prevention and early detection. Experts say early screening can save lives, especially in the younger population, because we are seeing a rise in cases in the younger population. So let's go ahead and bring in Michael Sapienza. He is with Colorectal Cancer Alliance. He's the CEO. Michael, thank you so much for joining us to talk about this important health concern.
Thank you.
So, Michael, first, talk about colon cancer and why awareness is so important. I know that's a basic question, but I think people should know why it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, colorectal cancer is the #2 cancer-related deaths here in the United States for both men and women combined. And, I always say this, unfortunately, my mom died of the disease at age 59, was diagnosed at 56, and it was because she did not get screened. So if you are 45 years or older and are at average risk, meaning you do not have a family history of the disease, you need to be screened at 45. And there are multiple options for screening, whether that is the tried and true colonoscopy, but there are also, for people that are average risk, there are really easy at-home tests. So one called Cologuard, which can be done at the comfort of your own home, is effective. If it's positive, obviously you have to get a colonoscopy. If you have a family history, you need to start with a colonoscopy and make sure you're getting screened 10 years prior to your first-degree relative having the disease. So if my mom was diagnosed at 40, I would have to start getting screened at 30. And if you have any questions about that, getscreened.org is a good website to go to at the Colorectal Cancer Alliance to learn more.
For giving us that information and talking about Cologuard, which some people don't know much about it. So I do want to ask you a few more questions on that. But first, let's talk about who's the most at risk and what's behind the rise in cases in younger adults.
Yeah, unfortunately now colorectal cancer under 50 is the #1 cancer killer for both men and women. And we don't know why. We don't know if it's because people are drinking more sugary-based drinks instead of vitamin C and D-based drinks like milk, like we did 40 years ago. Is it because taking too many antibiotics or using too much hand sanitizer or shampoo? We don't really know what is causing it. And so what I say for young onset patients, the most important thing is to understand the potential symptoms. So if you have blood in your stool, change in bowel habits, unexpected weight loss, cramping or night sweats, and those things last more than 2 or 3 weeks, you need to see your primary care physician, OBGYN, or a GI doc. And if you don't have any of those, it is okay to go to the emergency room. It doesn't mean you have colon cancer, but you have to demand answers, meaning a colonoscopy, because that is going to be the thing that saves your life. Because unfortunately, 3 out of 4 people that are diagnosed under 50 are diagnosed late stage because their symptoms are dismissed at their doctor. So it's so important that people, doctors, etc., understand that those are the symptoms and you need to demand a colonoscopy at that time. Other people that are at high risk are, those that have a family history and those that may have history of polyps in their family or Crohn's and colitis. Those people need to make sure that they are proactive about getting screened. But the most important thing I can say is that everybody is at risk, really, and that is why screening is paramount at the age of 45.
Michael, thank you so much. Screening, very important. What lifestyle changes can be made to, reduce the risk of colon cancer?
Yeah, that's a great question. A diet high in fiber is always very good, fruits and vegetables. A diet low in red meat and processed meats especially are proven. Alcohol and smoking, no smoking obviously, but moderate alcohol. The tried and true exercising can help reduce your risk. But really the biggest thing is that diet and screening. So the diet being the low processed meats and red meats, high fiber, fruits and vegetables, and then of course again that screening.
And let's go back and talk about Cologuard a little bit more. So what is it and how is that being used to detect colon cancer?
Yeah, so Cologuard is a test that is made by a company called Exact Sciences. They were actually just bought by Abbott, and it is an at-home test where you in the comfort of your own home can have a bowel movement into this little thing that they send you. You put something in it, you close it up. They have a pre-addressed FedEx or UPS or whatnot envelope. You send it back in, and there you go. They'll come back with a result very quickly. They have navigators that actually call you and text you and follow up and make sure that you do the test, and that if it is positive, and this is the most important thing, that if it is positive, you have to get a colonoscopy. It doesn't mean you have colon cancer. It just means that you do need to make sure you do that follow-up colonoscopy to make sure that they take care of any polyps that are there. It's easier, right? If you are in the prime of your life and you're like, I know I need to do this, but I don't have the time to take a day off of work or do the prep, etc., and you are at average risk, then Cologuard is a very, very good option.
So much for explaining Cologuard. Michael, some people are a little bit nervous, especially younger people, about getting colonoscopy. So what kind of advice do you have for those people out there?
Yeah, so unfortunately, this is part of the problem. Like screening colonoscopy is not really available for people under the age of 45 unless you have a family history, and that is why you have to pay attention to your body around those symptoms: the blood in your stool, the change in bowel habits, unexpected weight loss, cramping or night sweats. Those things are potential indicators, and that is what needs to trigger every young person in this country to make sure that they go to their doctor and then demand a colonoscopy. Because if you do have those symptoms, it's what's called a diagnostic colonoscopy. And that is where hopefully they can catch it early and make sure that it is completely curable and treatable.
Michael, thank you so much for joining us to talk about this very important topic here, colon cancer awareness. Any final thoughts that you have for viewers this morning?
No, but thank you so much. And again, colorectalcancer.org is our website, or getscreened.org if you want to learn more.
Thank you, Michael, for joining us. You have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
All right, guys, thanks for staying with us. That interview with CEO Michael Sapienza, they're raising awareness of colorectal cancer. Very important. Early screening is very important. Guys, let's move forward and go into our local headlines. Fulton County fighting the FBI in court to recover some ballots. Let's talk about that. So a federal judge in downtown Atlanta heard arguments yesterday as Fulton County fights to recover more than 600 boxes of 2020 election ballots seized by the FBI earlier this year. So guys, Fulton County and the U.S. government met in a federal courtroom Friday after the debate on the legality of a January FBI search. So attorneys representing the county alleged that investigators relied on an affidavit, quote, full of lies to seize original 2020 election documents. And during this hearing at the Richard Russell Federal Building, the county called on election security expert Ryan Macias, who testified that there was no intentional misconduct during the 2020 election. The federal government maintained that there is no evidence agents misled the magistrate judge who secured the warrant. The judge did not issue an immediate ruling on the county's motion to have the ballots returned. It is also unclear when the judge will rule on a separate motion for emergency relief filed by the NAACP or the government's request to dismiss the case. What's next here for Fulton County officials? Again, they were fighting FBI in court this past Friday, so yesterday, to recover election ballots that the FBI seized. The parties are waiting for a formal ruling from the judge on the county's request to return those ballots. Additionally, the judge is reviewing the motion from the NAACP for emergency relief and the federal government's motion to dismiss the case. The Georgia House has passed a non-elections a nonpartisan elections bill. Let's talk about that. That was very big this week. The Georgia House gave a final approval yesterday to a bill that would strip party labels from local elections in the state's most populous metro Atlanta counties. The Republican majority House passed HB 369, that's House Bill 369, a measure that mandates nonpartisan elections for district attorneys, county commissioners, court clerks, tax commissioners, and several other local elections. Now, the bill specifically targets Fulton, DeKalb, Gwinnett, Cobb, and Clayton counties. State Senator John Albers, the bill's sponsor, argued the changes necessary to promote public safety and move away from political games. Now, if this is signed into law, the new rules would take effect in 2028. So this is something that we want to pay attention to over the next handful of years, or excuse me, the next couple of years. It remains unclear if Governor Brian Kemp will sign this legislation, as a spokesperson declined to comment on his intent yesterday. Now, additionally, the outcome of promised legal challenges from local officials and the District Attorneys Association of Georgia is yet to be determined. But guys, this is something that, we have been following here, the Georgia House passing that nonpartisan election bill. So the bill has advanced here. It focuses exclusively on, again, the core metro Atlanta counties, while Fulton, DeKalb, and Clayton are the Democratic strongholds. Cobb and Gwinnett have shifted toward Democratic control since 2016. And some Republicans voted against the bill, arguing that if it were good policy, it should be applied statewide rather than just targeting specific counties in the Atlanta area. So what's next now? The bill now heads to Governor Brian Kemp's desk. Don't know if he's going to sign that one, but if signed, opponents have already signaled that their intent to take the matter to court, or that they intend to take the matter to court here. District Attorney Sherry Boston stated that her colleagues are, quote, prepared to file a legal challenge if the legislation is not vetoed. So, some leaders speaking out in opposition of this bill, this nonpartisan election bill that targets specific counties in the metro Atlanta area. We'll see what happens and if Governor Kemp signs this bill. Moving forward now, Georgia bill to end daylight saving time has advanced as well. So this cleared the Senate this past week. Let's talk about this. This Georgia bill that would effectively end the practice of changing clocks twice a year is now heading to the state House after a successful Senate vote. House Bill 154 passed the state Senate on Monday, marking a significant step toward making daylight saving time permanent here in the state of Georgia. State Senator Bo Hatchett is pushing the legislation. He argues the current system is just harmful to public health. We don't know. There is currently no clear timeline. So we don't know about the timeline here. No clear timeline for when the time zone change would actually take effect if this bill becomes law. The shift also depends on the U.S. Department of Transportation giving the state a green light after a formal evaluation. So again, now that this bill has cleared the Senate, it must return to the state House for a final vote. And if it passes there, the bill will then head to the governor's desk for signature before the state can begin the federal petition process. So there's several steps that this bill has to clear before it becomes law and before it can begin that federal petition process. Time is 10:54. When we return, we'll have a couple of national headlines. Welcome back, guys. If you have Netflix, which many of us do, you'll want to hear this story. Your Netflix subscription could cost you more pretty soon here. The standard subscription with ads just went up to $8.99 a month, so that's up $1. Ad-free subscriptions are now $2 more a month, so going up to $19.99 and $26.99. The last time the company raised prices was January of last year, so in 2025. The price hike comes as Netflix invests heavily in its content, including new ventures into the live event space and into video podcasts. So again, guys, Netflix bumps its subscription prices up $1. So that's something to keep in mind. You know, we are seeing prices increase across the board for everything and for almost everything, I'll say. And then now we're seeing Netflix increase their prices. So again, with ads, that went up to $8.99 a month. And then ad-free subscriptions are now $2 more a month. So plans ranging from $19.99 to $26.99. So just, again, that's something to keep in mind if you do use Netflix. Your time is 11:58. When we return, we'll take a look at the No Kings protest happening across the state and right here in Atlanta. Welcome back, guys. No Kings protests underway across Georgia, across the nation, and right here in Atlanta. Indivisible Georgia Coalition and ACLU organizing this protest here. Again, these groups are calling for the end to what they say to Kings. Let's go ahead and bring in our Kim Leffler, who's live near the state capitol. Kim, and I see that you all are marching. You're walking backwards here. Be safe out there, Kim. But tell us, you know, what's been happening right on the ground there.
So we are making the turn right now onto Washington Street. The group started marching here. I'd say in the last 30 minutes or so, we're at the very tail end of the group. I'm going to just step outside, but and you can see the amount of people, several thousand people out here this morning. They started with a rally in kind of the green space area on the other side of the interstate here, and then are making this march around the Capitol and going to end back in that green space area. But I do want to introduce you. We come over here to my right to this couple. This is Miss Bagsy B, correct? Bagsy B and Jerry. So just tell me, why it was important for you guys to come out today?
To keep our democracy, to help others to know that this is our country and we got it because we care, and we have to keep showing that we care.
Yep. And we've got to keep showing consistently that we care and not let somebody else do it. And then vote, 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 vote.
Now, did you guys come out to one of the first two No Kings protests? Your third. Why is it so important for you guys to come out, time and time again?
Because
go ahead.
Because the country's too important. There's nothing. I mean, we're at a crisis point.
We really are.
We're shooting our own citizens, like in Minneapolis.
Jerry always told me, being an Army vet, he always told me our military will never attack our citizens.
Now we're going to see it.
And we've seen it. We have people being murdered. No. We have to stand up and fight.
Right. Today. Not waiting for tomorrow. Today.
Thank you both so much for your time. I appreciate it. I'll let you guys catch back up to the group. Thank you all both so much. So as you can see here, the group is continuing on down Washington Street. Again, they're going to be making this loop around the Capitol. And as you heard me ask this couple here about the amount of times that they have come out here, this is the third No Kings protest here in the city of Atlanta and also nationwide. The other two were in June and October, and they're not the first people that we have met since we have been out here this morning who were here for the first two protests. Many of these people that came out here today were part of those first two protests as well. So again, they're continuing this march right now, making their way on the other side of the Capitol and then ending back into that green space area. And you can see actually right here, we have the Atlanta Police Department that is kind of following the group here. We did see some officers as well that were also leading the group, making sure that the roadways were clear and that everyone remained safe and was able to execute their right to protest as well. So that is what we are seeing at this point, Jasmine. Again, the march should be continuing on for the next several minutes as they make their way back to that green space area.
Kim, thanks so much for sharing this update here. You've been covering these protests since they've happened, this being the third one. Does anything look different today? I know that these protests are peaceful demonstrations. Anything look different from previous protests?
Well, one thing that I noticed, the length of their march is certainly a lot shorter than it's been in years past, but in terms of the crowd level, I'd say this is pretty equal to what I saw when I was out here in October. But again, today, rather than kind of marching through the city streets a little bit, they're kind of just making this loop around the Capitol, but certainly still several thousand people that turned out here today.
All right, Kim, thank you so much for joining us and sharing this update. Guys, we're going to stay in that area near the state capitol and head over to our Ray Urena. We have a team coverage here of this No Kings protest. And now, Ray, I don't see as many people behind you, so tell me where you are in this march.
Well, Kim is at the back of the march, and we're ahead of them as they're coming around the Capitol right now. We're at Memorial Drive and Capitol Avenue, and this is just before the protesters come around and make their loop. But we just want to show you the police presence that is here just to make sure that all the roads are closed. You see some Georgia State Patrol here at this intersection. We have Atlanta Police over on the left, and it goes down even further, heading towards Turner Field over to the left side. So it looks like they've even closed off the interstate and are rerouting traffic just so these protesters have a safe way to cross back towards the Memorial Drive Greenway. It looks like some of them are starting to make the turn over to where our position is, so we're going to keep that camera on there. But talking to some of the protesters and some of the demonstrators that showed up today, they are mad about several different issues, be that the war in Iran, the current foreign policies in Cuba, and the extraction election of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. All of those have kind of like built up for some of these protests, not to mention the high gas prices, the ongoing partial government shutdown that's affecting TSA and wait times at the airport. So a lot of this is fueling some of the protesters that we have seen today and telling them to come to this edition of the No Kings protest. And this is the third of such protests that has occurred. The last one, as Kim said, happening in October. Earlier today, before all this marching started, we were able to talk with two women who came here. This was their third No Kings protest. They've been a part of all three No Kings protests. Here's what they say, what they had to say about coming this time around.
We have no reason to have a king in the administration we have now, and I've been at every demonstration there's been and will continue to do that to express my thoughts.
How about you, Diane?
Everything is so messed up right now. I just think that we have to get in the streets and to tell everybody we have to stop.
And we also received a statement from Georgia Republican Party Chairman Josh McCoon, and he said in part, quote, President Trump was elected by the American people not once but twice to serve as our leader under the Constitution. These demonstrators rail against an imaginary monarch while the voters' clear mandate is carried out by the very man they elected. It is absurd to treat a twice elected president as some sort of king when he must face the American people at the ballot box every 4 years. And as we take a look at what we're seeing right now, we see just a variety of signs. You see that No Kings banner leading the way as police wait to give them the go-ahead. It looks like these motor units right in front are going to start moving in just a minute, just to make sure that everything is all clear. All the roads in the area are shut down. We have we're at Capitol Avenue Southeast and Memorial Drive Southeast near the state capitol. And as far as I can see, looking back towards Memorial Drive, towards where we started, all the roads in that area are closed as well. Just not a single car on the road here, Jasmine.
Ray, thank you so much for joining us live here to talk about what you're seeing out there at the No Kings protest. You standing at the beginning, Kim at the end. And also thank you for providing that interview. I know Kim was able to speak to a couple, but it's good to hear from people out there on the grounds. Ray, thank you so much for joining us. We'll check back in with you later. Guys, Caitlin Pratt is here with me now. Let's go ahead and bring that live picture that Skyfox 5 is flying over there.
This is Cobb County.
Yes.
This is Cobb County, and you guys were just looking at the scene downtown Atlanta. So we're taking you to Cobb County now, just one of dozens of protests just in our state alone across Georgia. I think at last count there are about 57 of them happening today, staggered throughout the day. So we have eyes in the sky, eyes on the ground, giving you the very latest on what we're seeing as far as this event is concerned. So maybe you're wondering, what is the president saying about this? What is the White House saying? Largely, they seem to be dismissing the wave of these No Kings protests, calling them earlier this week, and I quote, Trump derangement therapy sessions, telling the AP the only people who care about these Trump derangement therapy sessions are the reporters who are paid to cover them. So last October, following the second round, again, today is the third, President Trump took, President Trump took office, the president said, I think it is a joke. He went on to say, I'm not a king. I work my expletive off to make our country great. That is all. I'm not a king at all. So we keep monitoring, looking for reaction from the president on this. Nothing just yet. But let's talk about his approval ratings, since this reflects what the temperature is right now. Civics, CIVIQS, their state-by-state approval ratings show as of this week, 41% of Georgians favor the president, while 56% are against. 3% are unsure right now. And those, you're seeing those against the president out today with their signs, raising their voices. This is the third time they've done such demonstrations, and they're hoping, organizers say, it will be the largest outpouring. So we'll see how it stacks up by the end of the day. But that first one in June, that was 5 million people. And then in October, of course, 7 million. And maybe some of you are wondering, who's funding this in the first place? Well, different foundations, different unions, grassroots donations. And according to a recent Fox News report, the Open Society Foundations, founded by a billionaire investor by the name of George Soros, they have provided funding to support these No Kings protests. So today, just stepping off about 2 hours ago, the first of many demonstrations set for today. Police on hand at each of these sites across the metro area. We're going to continue to, of course, monitor it for you and bring you the latest here on Fox Local.
Absolutely. Caitlin, thank you so much for joining us here to talk about the No Kings protest. And, you know, I asked him this question. I'm going to ask you as well. Anything different this year that you're seeing today than in previous protests?
I feel like it was more widespread on social media, the planning process.
Okay.
It seemed to be more precise in planning, just from my observations, and just the insistence at the end of every post, this is a peaceful demonstration.
Yeah.
And just reiterating that fact. But yeah, widespread across all social media platforms, websites, things like that. It seemed to be more widespread in the planning, just really more significant this time around.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Caitlin, and for joining us on the stream to talk about the No Kings protest, guys. We're going to continue our coverage of No Kings protest. I want to bring up a live picture for you of D.C., but in the meantime, while we get that up, again, thousands of people are expected to gather. So we've showed you protests in Griffin, Georgia, out in downtown Atlanta near the state capitol. So people are also gathering in Marietta, in Sandy Springs, in Smyrna, in Fayetteville. So, you know, thousands of people are expected to show up to these protests across the Atlanta area. And this is just in the Atlanta area. People are expected, thousands are expected to show up statewide, and also in across the country. Millions. So, you know, we'll see the outcome. We'll have the exact numbers of how many people, you know, after this day is over. But this is a very, very big movement here, the No Kings movement. These groups protesting against Trump's policies. And so, you know, we haven't heard President Trump say anything, and we do like to be fair to share both sides of the story. But he hasn't said anything just yet. And when he does, we'll let you know. But let's go ahead and bring up that No Kings protest underway in Washington, D.C. and just take a live look there. So this camera is moving around a bit, you know, kind of crazy here, but you can see the people holding their signs right there, proud anti-fascist. And then you see also some No King signs since 1776. And right now it's a guy with a megaphone. Let's see, it looks like somebody is about to speak into that. Let's try to pull up the volume.
No fear! Immigrants are welcome here, no hate! 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 How about scientists? Immigrants are welcome here, no hate! No fear! Scientists are welcome here, no hate! No fear! Scientists are welcome here, no hate. No fear. Librarians are welcome here, no hate. No fear. Librarians are welcome here, no hate. No fear. Librarians are welcome here, no hate.
Ma'am, ma'am, lovely sign, lovely wardrobe here today. Talk to me about your whole ensemble. We'll get to the messaging first. How'd you put all of this?
And again, that is our No Kings protest underway in Washington, D.C. Those people expected to be out there all day today. That march kicked off at 10 o'clock this morning, and participants gathered at the Memorial Circle near Arlington Cemetery. And then the procession headed across Memorial Bridge into D.C., passing the Lincoln Memorial and continuing on to the Washington Monument. So at the end of this march, participants can participate in a rally, in a downtown rally in the DMV, in the D.C. area, actually, and that's from 1:30 until 4 p.m. But again, you can see this No Kings protest has gained momentum with billions, turning out back during the summer and fall months. And so now we're here for the third movement, the third protest here across the nation, where we're already seeing thousands come out. Guys, your time is 12:17. We're still in the 9 o'clock hour, and it's the afternoon. So when we return, we'll take a look at your forecast. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Jasmine Cornell here with the wonderful Paul Milliken.
Yeah.
We see you telling some great stories, so, I'm crossing my fingers and hoping you have more great stories.
I got good news. I got good news for you. It's going to stay dry. It's going to be warm. We've got sunshine. There's a few little issues in the forecast, but overall, this is a forecast I think we can all get behind.
All right.
And we deserve it, right? I mean, you know how the weather is around here. It is up and down. So let's get to it right now. You step out your door. I mean, it is going to be beautiful today. Plenty of sunshine. You see it in all the live reporting we're doing. There's no cloud cover. There's no rain out there. It's a really nice, clear forecast for today and for tomorrow. So highs today are going to top out around 68 degrees. Your forecast regular high is 69 degrees. So we're near where we typically expect to be this time of year. So you can enjoy that. Again, plenty of sunshine today and tomorrow as well. Yesterday, as we know, was very hot. We made it all the way up into the 80s. That is not going to be the case today, thanks to a cold front, which is crossing the region. It's actually just crossed our region now, and you see what it's left behind, these very comfortable but certainly cooler temperatures. So right now it's 51 in Dalton, 54 in Rome. We're at 60 in Gainesville and a 59 in Atlanta. So again, good afternoon to all of you, and thank you for watching Fox Local. Here's a quick check on our dew points, and these numbers show us how dry the air is. We talk about this a lot. Dew points are a measure of the moisture moisture that the air can hold. So if these numbers are low like they are now, not a lot of moisture in the air, and that means it is dry. And so you take really dry air, and then we're going to combine that with the fact that it's breezy out there. I mean, look at our sustained winds right now, between 5 to 10 miles per hour in most spots, higher than that in a few. Up in Athens, we're at 15-mile-per-hour winds, 15 in Rome, 10 in Gainesville there, and of course higher gusting. You put those things together, and that leads to a red flag warning. So this is really the big weather story of the day today, the fact that we are under a red flag warning until 8 p.m. So what is a red flag warning? Well, this basically means there's a critical fire danger out there. When it gets really dry and breezy, it's easy for a fire to start, and it's really easy for that fire to spread. So if you're doing anything outdoors that might include fire, if you're grilling out today, maybe you're camping, going to build a campfire later, gotta be so careful today, because that fire can spread extremely quickly thanks to the dry and breezy conditions. And authorities want you to know too, if you smell smoke out there, let them know, because there may be a fire nearby that needs to be addressed. So this red flag warning will be in effect until 8 p.m. I'm not sure that we'll have one again tomorrow. Doesn't look like it'll be quite as breezy tomorrow, but of course we will keep you posted. The other issue in the forecast, yeah, we keep talking about that pollen count, and we need to keep talking about it. It's at extremely high levels for the 7th day in a row, 4640. That is extremely high, and the major pollens out there are going to be your tree pollen, so that's going to be pine, oak, mulberry, birch, and sycamore. So watch out when you're out and about. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be very high for the next couple of days, because we really don't get any relief, no rain in the forecast until we get to the end of week. So what's happening is that we have a big ridge of high pressure over the southwest United States right now, and that's leading to extremely hot conditions in the southwest. We're talking 80s and 90s. That is shifting our way, and that's why you see this temperature trend is going up. We go from 60s today and tomorrow up to the 70s on Monday, and then Tuesday we are back to the 80s. That means we are starting off April. This is no April Fool's joke, guys. It's real. We are starting off the month in the 80s. So it's going to be very hot Wednesday at 82 degrees, 80 on Thursday, and looks like we'll dip back in the 70s to 75 degrees on Friday. And notice Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, there's a chance for thunderstorms every day. I'm going to put it at about 50% right now. That's going to be scattered afternoon activity for the most part. I don't think it's going to be a big washout at the end of the week, but I think you should be prepared and make sure you've got an umbrella nearby. And of course, for a lot of folks, at the end of next week, we are going into spring break. So my fingers are crossed for you folks out there going on spring break next week that it looks as good as this week is looking.
Right. I hope so too. That would be just terrible to have to deal with pollen.
No, I know. Let's not. No, I know. Let's not talk about storms. We're not going to talk about a cool down. We're going to manifest it into the universe that we're going to have sunshine and 80s for spring break week.
All right, Paul, that sounds good. We'll manifest that good weather.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on the stream.
Yeah.
And we'll see you later.
You got it. Good to see you too.
Guys, we're going to talk about a different protest that happened yesterday. We've been covering the No Kings protest, and we will continue our coverage. But let's bring up the video of celebrities holding a First Amendment rally outside the Kennedy Center. So let's talk about this here. Actors Jane Fonda and also Sam Waterston and other celebrities rallied outside the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. yesterday. This event was called the Artists United for Our Freedoms. Entertainers, including folk singer Joan Baez, said they are speaking out against a, quote, takeover of the Arts Center. Jane Fonda blasted the Trump administration on plans for the entertainment and cultural venue, which include closing it down for 2 years for extensive renovations. She also encouraged people to get more involved in political activism. Actor Sam Waterston also criticized the Trump administration and referred to the anti-authoritarian playbook. Let's take a listen to what they had to say.
Support the writers. Buying tickets now is a political act, so let's do it more than ever. And tomorrow we're going to see a great example of community building. You know, the No Kings protests. Don't just go. Bring 5 people. Bring 5 people that have never been to a protest. You know, No Kings is like first step. It's like hands reaching out saying, come on, it's okay, dip your toe in, it'll be fine, you'll meet new friends.
As it says in the anti-authoritarian playbook, before the camps, before the purges, before the marches, there is a theater going dark. The gallery closing, the comedian silence, the musician banned. This is not coincidence.
Again, guys, that celebrities there holding that First Amendment rally outside the Kennedy Center in the D.C. area. You just listened to Jane Fonda and Sam Waterston. Again, they just mentioned the No Kings protest in this rally that was held yesterday. More than 3,000 No Kings demonstrations are scheduled for today, and we've seen some already underway, especially here in the Atlanta area and here across Georgia. But again, we can expect to see protests throughout the day today to condemn President Trump's policies and actions. Let's go ahead and talk about another top story we haven't talked about yet this morning. Tiger Woods was arrested in Florida. He's suspected of DUI, driving under the influence here. Professional golfer Tiger Woods was arrested in Florida under the suspicion of DUI after a rollover crash on Jupiter Island, Florida. So the Martin County Sheriff said during a press conference yesterday that Woods was not suspected of being impaired by alcohol, but could have been impaired by something else, whether it be medication or drugs. He said Woods took a breathalyzer test and passed that. However, he refused to take a urinalysis. This crash happened yesterday afternoon before 2 p.m., again on Jupiter Island. According to the sheriff's office there, the sheriff's office says Woods' Land Rover was speeding and collided with another car hauling a trailer. This resulted in Woods' car overturning. The sheriff said it appears that Woods crawled out of the vehicle window, and they also said they didn't know how many times his vehicle rolled over. Now, Woods was booked into jail on charges of DUI, property damage, and refusing to take that urine test. Woods was seen leaving the jail around 11:30 p.m. last night after bonding out. And again, the Martin County Sheriff provided updates on this crash. Here's what he said. Shortly before 2 p.m., the sheriff's office was called to investigate this rollover crash. Deputies said a truck hauling a trailer was being overtaken by the driver of a Land Rover. At some point, the Land Rover rolled over on its side, and the driver called out the vehicle. That driver was identified as Tiger Woods. Deputies suspected there may be impairment involved, but not alcohol impairment. Again, Tiger Woods was arrested. He cooperated with that breathalyzer test and blew 000. That's according to the sheriff's office. He did decline to take that urine test, and he did book out of the jail. He was booked into the jail and bonded out of jail, last night. Jupiter Island is located in southeastern Florida along the coast and north of West Palm Beach. It's about 2.5 hours from Orlando, just to give you some perspective there on the location, its proximity to the Orlando area. Fox Sports reported that Woods competed in the TGL Championship earlier this week. So this crash happening just a few days after he competed in a championship in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. This championship, marked his return to competitive golf after rupturing his Achilles tendon last year. This is according to Fox Sports. There was some speculation about whether Tiger Woods would play in the Masters tournament, which is happening, I believe, next week at the Augusta National Golf Club in Augusta, Georgia. However, President Trump told Fox News on Thursday that Woods would attend the tournament, but he would not play. And Tiger Woods does have a history of crashes here. Yesterday's crash marks the 4th time He was involved in a vehicle crash investigation. The most notorious example dates back to 2009 when his SUV ran over a fire hydrant and hit a tree early on the morning after Thanksgiving. The crash was the start of revelations that he had been cheating on his wife with multiple women. So that was a big event there. But again, this just a little bit of background about, you know, Tiger Woods' crash history. He joined the PGA Tour in 1996, and you know, as you all know, he's very successful. He's recorded 82 tour wins, 19 international wins, and earned more than $120 million in official earnings. His last championship win was a championship in Japan in 2019. That's according to his official PGA bio. But again, he is facing charges here, suspected of DUI. Drivers don't believe he was driving under the influence of alcohol, but they do believe it could have been some drugs or medication, and we'll continue to follow this. This happening after he competed in that championship earlier this week. Again, Tiger Woods facing charges in Florida. Your time is 12:32. When we return, we're going to continue our coverage of the No Kings protests and head you out to a demonstration in Mcdonough. Welcome back. Advocates across the U.S. Sounding the alarm, organizing the No Kings protest in several locations and thousands of locations across the U.S. We've seen them here in Georgia. And let's go ahead and head to Griffin, where a protest is underway there. Our Eli Jordan is out there in Griffin, Georgia. And Eli, you know, this is the same group, to my understanding, that was in Mcdonough. He's in Mcdonough, that's right. And this is the same group.
I'm in Mcdonough. Hey, yeah, I'm here now. Yep.
Yeah. So this is Southern Crescent Indivisible. They're the organizers here for the protests here south of the metro in about 9 counties, and they were in Griffin earlier, about 9 a.m. this morning until 11, and now they moved up here to Mcdonough, close to the square in front of City Hall. And I am with one of the protesters, Michael. And hey, Michael, thanks for joining me.
Hi, how you doing?
And your sign is in reference to Germany said they were detention centers too, and that's in reference to of course, World War II and the concentration camps.
They call them work camps and detention centers, but we found out in 1945 what they really were.
So why is it important for you to be out here today?
Because Georgia's building 2 of them in our state. One of them has floor plans for a gun range inside. They've applied for medical incinerators, supposedly. I know that's speculation. I'm also out here because of the Minnesota killings. The president and his team called United States citizens domestic terrorists, and I just find that so wrong.
So this is, have you been to previous No Kings protests?
This is my first protest ever.
So really?
You can blame the administration for me being out here today.
So you were inspired by your disagreement?
By our leader not being a leader and being, how do I describe it? I wouldn't say he's trying to be king, but he's trying to take over to where everyone, the checks and balances aren't there. Everyone does what he says. There's no pushback from anyone on his side, and that's wrong. It's supposed to be bipartisan. It's supposed to be a Democrat. We're supposed to come together as two and talk about these issues. It's not one way or the other. And he's saying it's my way or get the hell out of my way, and it's not right.
So this is your first protest. What do you think so far, being out here?
Just getting the message out is important. Like I said, this is the truth. Germany had detention centers too. That's what they called them. It's important to see the community wanting change. This is typically a red state, so I didn't expect turnout. That's why I actually signed up to come to this location. So I didn't expect anyone.
Are you from this area?
I'm technically from Jonesboro. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, this is close to here. Are you surprised with the turnout?
Yes, actually I am. Because it's a red state, honestly. People have their heads in the sand here. I work with a lot of people that don't pay attention to any kind of news. Like you could say Fox News, CNN, all the kinds of news. No one pays attention. That's what bothers me. Like this shirt right here. Trump sells his own Bible. A lot of people don't even know he sells his own Bible. It's ridiculous.
So what do you think about all the people honking as they pass by too? Is that encouraging?
It's support. If not, great.
Gotcha. Well, Michael, welcome to your first protest.
Yeah, thank you.
And good to be out here exercising your First Amendment right, your constitutional rights, all that.
Hopefully we continue doing it.
Right on. And
oh yeah.
Get that mic from you. And that's what's happening out here, Jasmine. We got out here in front of City Hall. Michael there is his first protest from Jonesboro. Getting out here saying he is inspired by the lack of leadership that he perceives from the administration to get out here and say something. And so that's what's happening out here in front of the Mcdonough City Hall. They'll be out here until about 2 o'clock today. And this is part of the Southern Crescent Indivisible Coalition. If you're interested in what they do, they're scindivisible.com. And you can check them out there. But that's what's going to happen here in Mcdonough as part of the No Kings protest statewide here in Georgia is happening. Jasmine?
Eli, thank you so much for giving us this update out of Mcdonough. A question for you before we let you go. Have you seen any protesters that are against this No Kings movement?
I haven't seen any counter-protesting happening as of yet. It seems to be pretty much everybody is against the administration. There have been some political figures that are like running for election out here, coming shaking hands and doing that. You know, they're getting their names out there. But as far as a counter-protest, I am not seeing any of that. All I'm doing is hearing No King slogans and horns on honking. That's what's happening here in Mcdonough in Henry County in front of the City Hall. And we got horns honking and people protesting. Jasmine?
All right, Eli, thank you so much for bringing us an update on that protest there out of Henry County. And again, guys, I asked the question of any counter protests because we want to be fair and show both sides here at Fox 5. And, you know, we haven't heard much from counter protesters or even GOP leaders. The president also has not said anything about the No Kings protests happening today. But we know in the past he has released statements and even made fun of this movement. So we do want to bring up the press conference that happened earlier today. So ahead of the No Kings protests, the march and the rally in the Atlanta area near the state capitol, Indivisible Georgia Coalition, which is the organization behind the No Kings protest here, but even across the nation. Indivisible has local chapters across the nation, and they have been helping to get these protests, these No Kings protests, off the ground. But Indivisible Georgia Coalition and ACLU of Georgia, they spoke this morning ahead of the nationwide protests and ahead of the protests here in the Atlanta area. They outlined their plans and what you can expect during these protests. They mentioned that they will be peaceful. And from what we've seen, we've been taking live and showing you video protests across the nation, not just here in the state of Georgia. And what we've seen, they've been peaceful. They've been peaceful, which is good news there. So they spoke about their plans, what you can expect, and also just the growing concerns, they say, around the attacks on civil liberties and democratic institutions. So pretty much they spoke this morning, and we want you to take a listen to what they said ahead of the protests.
Thank you all for being here. My name is Laura Judge, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Indivisible Georgia Coalition, a statewide network of grassroots indivisible organizations and community leaders working to defend democracy, protect civil liberties, and build people power across Georgia. Today, people across our state will join communities in all 50 states for a nationwide day of action with one clear message. We don't do kings in this country. Power belongs to the people. Indivisible groups across Georgia have been organizing for years to make sure our communities are informed, engaged, and ready to take action. And through Indivisible National, we are part of a broader movement that connects local organizing to coordinated nationwide action. The No Kings mobilization is one of those moments. It brings together people across the country who are standing up for the same basic idea, that in a democracy, no one is above the law. What we're seeing right now is a pattern of attacks on our rights, our freedoms, and our democratic institutions, and people are paying attention. They are choosing to show up instead of staying silent. Here in Georgia, we know what it means to fight for our rights. From the ballot box to the streets, our communities have always stepped up in critical moments. This is one of those moments. Today's protest in Atlanta will be a peaceful, community-led action that includes a march and a rally. It is designed to be like our past events, accessible, organized, and rooted in nonviolence. People can expect a strong, visible show of our community, with folks from across the state coming together and share values of freedom, fairness, and accountability. This is not about any one person, it's about a bigger people. We believe in a country where leaders are held accountable, where our rights are protected, and where power stays where it belongs, with the people. And that's why we're showing up today. We invite everyone who believes in those values to join us. Show up, bring your community, be part of something bigger, because this is how we protect our democracy. No kings, not here, not now, not ever. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Christopher Bruce. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of the ACLU of Georgia, an organization wholeheartedly devoted to protecting your civil rights and civil liberties. Let me be clear from the offset. We do not have kings in this country. We have a Constitution. And today, we are here because the Constitution and all of the rights that's guaranteed under it are under threat. An abuse of power, an erosion of our democratic norms, and direct attacks on the rights of everyday people. That include attacks on the right to vote, efforts to rewrite the truth of the 2020 election and the policies that undermine the very foundation of our democracy. That should be a concern to every American, regardless of political party. Because this is not about partisanship. This is about power. This is about accountability. We are also seeing the human cost of this administration. Families separated, communities living in fear, journalists being detained, and immigration enforcement that mirrors abuses of people across this country, and that's why we're out here today protesting. Let me say this plainly. We marched to stop the brutalization of communities by police, and we will not accept the same brutality under a different name. From Social Circle to Hall County to seeing detention centers and practices popping up over Georgia that are not wanted or needed. People are not packages, and this country is not a kingdom. At the very same time, we are calling on leaders at every level of government, local, state, and federal, to do your job. Members of Congress must exercise your constitutional authority on other branches. They must protect programs like Medicaid that millions rely on, and they must defend the constitutional balance of power, including their own authority. Silence is not neutrality. Silence is complicity. And let me be equally clear about why we are here today. People across the country have a fundamental First Amendment right to petition their government. That right is not optional. It is not conditional. It is fundamental. The No Kings movement is about reminding this nation that power belongs to the people, not only the office holders. And in moments like this, when our democracy is not self-executing, we need people to stand up. It requires participation. So we are calling on people to stay engaged, show up, speak out, make sure you vote in every election, and support organizations that are doing the work every single day to protect your civil rights and civil liberties. Because this movement is not theoretical. It's urgent. It's needed. So I will close where I began. We do not have kings in this country. We have laws. We have rights. And we have a constitution. Let's uphold it. Thank you. With that, I'll take any questions. Yes, so today we are going to start with a rally at Memorial Green. Then we'll have a march around our state capitol and end at Memorial Green again. As far as how many people, I think about 20.
We're expecting 30,000.
We're expecting around 30,000 people, which is pretty much the same as what we had last time, right? Close to about that, yes. Well, democracy is a participatory sport, so you can't just do one march and not having follow-up. This is a reminder to people that our Constitution and our democracy is under threat. This is a time for them to stand up. And this is a pivotal time, too. Elections are coming up. You're going to have judges on the ballot, including our Supreme Court, as well as other people who are running for office. Let's make sure that people are reminded this is their time to vote. I was about to say, I'm not doing it. Here, go on. Yes. Go ahead. I got you. You want to take that?
I think you should take that one.
Repeat that question. We'll just hold it. There you go. You're just talking about spreading propaganda. Could you hold this? Yeah, thank you. Well, let's look into your question in the deepest way possible. Propaganda isn't something new, right? It has happened throughout history. The question is, do you have clear, authentic voices speaking out on your behalf that are unbiased? So yes, we've seen this, and this conversation comes up in the media, but it's now under strict attack. We know now that journalists are being prosecuted for doing their jobs. That is an issue. Some news organizations are being bought by billionaires. That is an issue when it comes to influencing and reporting out real news. So is propaganda an issue? It always has been. But at this time when our democracy is under a threat, we need to answer and respond in the proper way. Maybe I didn't, okay?
I think I can
Go ahead.
handle some. Sorry. Thank you for that question. Currently, I don't know of any ongoing efforts, but it's up to us as a people. I know myself, I work with someone who uses AI a lot. AI is going to be a problem with those propaganda efforts. And we have to educate our people. These are all volunteer organizations. People have to get out there and educate each other. And we have to elect legislators that put policy in action to know what is propaganda, letting people know to be media literate, to know what is happening out there, to question things. It's okay to question what's put in front of your face. And so as someone who works in AI, someone who normally talks to the media, I think it's really important that we get that message out to everyday people. It's hard to do it on a mass scale, but you know, it starts with just one. Does that answer your question, sir? No, there's no, not currently, no. Not currently, no. Sorry about that. Yes, absolutely. And that's why we're
All right, guys, that is the Indivisible Georgia Coalition and ACLU of Georgia there. They spoke this morning ahead of the press conference, and you just saw that she was just answering some questions, and so we jumped out of that to just talk really quickly about this. Again, they spoke ahead of the protests that were held in Georgia and nationwide. That was Laura Judge with Indivisible Georgia Coalition and Chris Bruce with ACLU of Georgia. Again, they spoke here ahead of the protests in Georgia. This was on the sidewalk between Liberty Plaza and the Georgia State Capitol. And we have been showing you all morning the protests happening in Georgia. We just checked in with our Eli Jordan, who's in Mcdonough, and also we showed you the protests in downtown Atlanta near the state capitol. And we've shown you protests happening nationwide, taking a look at DC. So guys, your time is 12:54. When we return, we'll have some more news. Welcome back, guys. No Kings protests underway across the nation. Let's go ahead and take a live look here at the No Kings rally there in St. Paul, Minnesota. Well, looks like their camera is down now, so can't take a live look at that. But we'll try to bring them back up if they turn their cameras back on. But right now, your time is 12:57. Let's talk about something a little different before we head to break. So let's talk about TSA. So TSA is expected to get paid on Monday. This is good news. I'm going to throw up a banner for you, and hopefully we can get that video. That's Trump there. He signed an order to pay TSA employees. So the DHS shutdown is still dragging on, but TSA employees are now expected to be paid. President Trump signed this order on Friday, and it authorizes payments to TSA agents. This order comes after the House rejected a Senate Department of Homeland Security funding deal. And so the order passed early yesterday. Trump says he signed the action as security lines at many airports continue to have long delays with some wait times at some hubs reaching more than 3 hours. The order says more than 60,000 TSA employees have not been paid since the shutdown began, and nearly 500 have quit. Before we take a break here, I do want to go ahead and move forward from this story. This is great news. I'm glad to see this, that TSA agents will be paid, and they're expected to see paychecks as early as Monday. That's some great news there. Not so great news that DHS shutdown continues, but TSA agents are expected to be paid. But let's go ahead and bring that live picture back up, guys. This is out of St. Paul, Minnesota. This is the No Kings rally held there. And you can see that some people are just standing in front of a stage. I'm guessing they're waiting for a speaker or some type of show to happen. But again, we